it up. Well, I guess I'll wait around until y'all join. So, I'm going to be reading the Master's Quest. Yeah. When y'all come in, y'all gotta say something because I am not gonna know when somebody's on. Because this thing, the viewer count does not update for me in real time, so it'll be like 10 people. Oh, there you are, Ricky. Whenever Sadie jumps in, I'll start because I haven't. Um, I know I've read somewhere, but yeah, I don't remember where she is. Other two should be joining very soon too. Okay, yeah. Um, so yeah, see, I updated my makeup. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna turn this just a little bit so it's pointing right at me, and then I'm gonna sit like here. I feel like I gotta sit way over here. No, I am going to sit there, and I'll point the camera a little bit back. There, that's kind of perfect. Yeah. Yay. Hmm. Oh, and by the way, do you see what's right there? That's my picture of Leo. I should. Oh, you know what I should do? I should have like pictures, so like pictures drawn, like some of my hand drawn pictures. Just have them up in the background. But like I would need it closer. You know what I mean? So you could actually see it, but because you can't really tell what it is. But you know what I'm gonna do though? I'm gonna get that stuff right now. Move that out of the way so if I do have to get up, that it doesn't look like I'm walking into a mess. There. Yay. Hey, Zeke. Gorgeous self. That way, that way, that way. Yeah. So, whenever, y'all let me know whenever, Sadie is in here though, or have her type something because then I'll start. I'm still trying to figure out where the heck I'm gonna start. So, oh, yay. Okay, so, oh, that's our Mira. Hi, Mira. All right, so you're gonna end up seeing this, but like I don't care because it's way better. By the way, does it sound better when I have it real close? Because I think it honestly does, but I am like genuinely not sure. Yeah. So there's three of y'all typing, but it still says I have one viewer. Like, yeah, this thing is always so behind. Okay, yay, cool. I'm looking forward to it. I genuinely like, and now with Zeke being in here too, it's fantastic because then I'm like genuinely reading for like a couple of people who have never heard the story before, which in a way does make me kind of want to start from the beginning. But I keep reading from the beginning over and over and over and over and over. I keep reading from the beginning. Um, Help doll. Oh, there we are. Yes. Okay. Cool. Um, I am gonna start from the beginning though, because y'all need to hear it from the beginning. You got to hear the story, especially with Zeke here, and you never heard it before. I can't start from the middle. So, um, this is the Master's Quest, my book. I even have this as branded content. It's like, oh, the stream has branded content. Never mind, the brand is me and my book. It is still technically branded content because I want people to buy it. So, like, yeah, brought to you by me. So, the Master's Quest, written by my old self who doesn't exist anymore. At least he can be a fairy tale just like the rest of the characters in the book. I need like a better like office chair and like a setup that has like a better position for my mic. All right. So, I started writing this when I was 14 and I finished it in 2020. Let's see. Hello? A voice quietly asked. She didn't want to acknowledge them. She could tell why they were here just by the excited way they approached her. Sorry. Hi. Excuse me? The same voice. It was a girl. She sounded young and friendly, but Annabella didn't want to open her eyes. She didn't know what she would see when they did open. She wished that they would just get bored and go away, but that never happened. These adventurer types never got bored. They'd just come back, probably with more people who wouldn't sound as nice. Hello? We need your help, please. You're the only one who can help us. A male voice, fragile but trying to sound like he's in charge. Maybe if she jumped at him, they'd all get scared and run off, but probably not. Ugh, Annabella thought. There was only one option. Well, she thought to herself, if I gotta wake up, I might as well have some fun with it. Annabella focused her energy into herself, and the entire cave began to glow and gently quake with a deep shudder. In the glow of the walls, words began to appear in front of the adventurers. What do you want? The entire cave seemed to echo the words as the adventurers read. Each of them took a slow step back, while Annabella resisted the urge to peek and giggle at them, practically wetting their pants. Then she exhaled, and three of the large rocks behind her began to change to form the shapes of a tiger, a bear, and a dragon. In unison, the creatures and Annabella let out a great roar. As the party all screamed and slunk down to protect themselves, Annabella doubled over in laughter and retracted the cave back into its normal shape. She kept laughing. The adventurers were visibly annoyed, and after a while they finally approached. Hi, said the male voice, coming from a solidly built, bearded man. I'm Brady, he said, shaken but determined. This is Lilith, and over there's our buddy Sam. I'm your biggest fan, interjected Lilith excitedly. Huh, said Annabella. She turned to Brady. Nice, I know a Sam. She turned to Sam. You wouldn't happen to be a fan of snow, would you? Annabella probed, moving closer to Sam. Sam leaned away from Annabella and responded, I guess it's okay. Why? Shrugged Annabella. You just remind me of him. I should probably pay him a visit one of these days. She started to bound happily out of the cave. So, where we going? The rest of the group, suddenly needing to hurry to catch up, scrambled to gather their things and ran after her. Brady responded, Madam Witch, we're on a quest to find... I'm not a witch, and interrupted Annabella. Oh, I'm sorry, great sorceress. Brady stumbled over his words. The rest of the group behind them struggled to keep up with Annabella's manic pace down the mountain. Not a sorceress either. Back in my day, I was called a master. By the way, where the heck are we going? Yes, master. We're on the quest to find one of the great totems foretold to bestow upon its owner great power. Ah, yes, I've heard this old chestnut. You want to get the thing of unimaginable power so your kingdom of whatever can have this or that. Or you can stop the terrible whatchamacallit from ravaging your so-and-so. I wonder if this is the 75th or 76th time I've helped with one of these. You think I should give out coupons? She goes into a salesperson voice. Congratulations, you're our 100th customer. You get a free toaster cozy with any purchase. Well, actually, we wanted it in order to. Don't tell me you want to take over the world. Trust me, it ain't worth it. You think it's gonna be just servants bowing and scraping, but everybody wants something, a favor. You never get a break. Honestly, Master, we just thought it would be cool, finished Brady finally. Annabella stopped in her tracks. Oh, well, heck, that changes things. She turned to Brady while the rest of the party caught up. So let me get this straight. Your plan is to get this item of unimaginable power. I think it's supposed to be a hair clip that imparts the power on the first person who wears it. Okay, so you find this magic hair clip and one of you wears it? We we thought Lilith might wear it since she's the one of us most well versed in your ways. Uh-huh, sure. She puts this thing on and you guys just kind of see what happens? I guess when you put it like that, it doesn't sound like much of a. I'm in! There was a few moments of silence. What do you have for food? She started again. Brady responded, Food? Oh, like supplies? I mean, we have plenty of supplies. We have climbing equipment and a guide lined up. We have You don't need weapons. You have me. What you need is food. I don't understand. Annabella stopped bounding down the path and interrupted again. The way it sounds, this journey of yours is going to take a couple of days, and I'm not in the carrying people around business. It takes enough energy just to keep this body looking pretty and tap dancing for you adventurers. So I'm not looking to carry you too. While I can't die, I'm not about to start lopping off body parts for you because you forgot to bring enough to eat. Oh, yeah, Brady stammered. Yeah, we have food. Enough for the journey. Okie doke. You got a direction for us to go in? So far down the mountain, it's been basically straight down, but if you haven't noticed, we're at a fork in the road. So I'm going to need you to lead the way from here on out, or we're going to be in a whole different adventure called We All Get Lost, and I leave you lovely folks in some random field and go back to my cave. So, which way, big guy? Oh, yeah, I don't know. Sam has the map. Brady pointed back up the mountain as Sam and Lilith coming down. The quiet one? Well, all right. Can you tell them to pick it up though? 'Cause it's been like decades since I've eaten, and Mama needs a snack. I'm thinking Kefler. Oh, Kefler. They still make that, right? Said Annabella dreamily. Kefler? I'm not sure I've heard of that. Inquired Brady. Kefler with a Q. Come on, you gotta tell me you've had it. All layers of flaky, doughy goodness with a sweet cream between the layers, topped with a peach apple drizzle, almonds, and whipped cream. Come on, you've had Kefler. There was a bakery at the base of this mountain that specialized in this stuff. I've been craving it forever, complained the master. Brady responded, I'm not sure I've heard of it, or any bakery around here, but I'm sure we could find a recipe. Recipe? Let's get to the bottom of the mountain, and I'll take you to the bestest place ever. You guys are missing out. You're gonna love it, Annabella exclaimed. Um, hey guys, sorry, it took us a minute to put everything back in the bags. Brady, thanks for keeping up with her. What are you guys talking about? Sam said, walking up with Lilith trailing slightly behind. I was just telling your buddy Brady here about the badass bakery at the bottom, at the base of the mountain, where I'm gonna take you to get some Kefler. You believe this guy's never had Kefler? Man. Lilith looked confused. Kef? The master interrupted again. Kefler, with a Q. Come on. What kind of childhoods must you have had? Let's go down the path on the right, and I'll show you the error of your ways. You're going to wish you found me earlier. She started to walk. It was Sam's turn to interrupt. That's... Annabella paused. Sam continued. That's the way we came from. There's nothing there but an empty wasteland. We didn't see anything even approaching what might look like a town. Definitely no bakeries. It looks like the base of this mountain hasn't seen a human footstep in 100 years. Annabella was silent. Annabella fell to her knees. Annabella sat down with a whump in the dirt. How long have I been here? She whispered. It wasn't a question, it was a realization. She put her head in her hands. I gotta visit the northern mountains after this. Samael's gonna kill me. The team looked down at her and then at each other. She sat there for a moment and just breathed. She quietly spoke up. Okay, which way are we going? Sam quietly responded. We need to go down the path on the left. We have to cross a lake on the other side. I've got tickets for us to get to Concordia, and a guide after that to lead us to the entrance of the temple where the treasure's kept. Nobody's ever gone in that place and came out alive, so I'm afraid we're on our own. We're on our own from there. Concordia is the closest town? Annabella asked, crestfallen. Yes, Sam responded. And you never heard of Geffler? She concluded. No, Sam answered. Annabella let out a deep sigh. She then stood up, dusted herself off, and said in a fake chipper tone, Well, this day ain't getting any longer. Let's get moving. Sam remarked about the beauty of the mountain as they descended. Brady helped Lilith carry her pack and carried a small conversation about nothing. At the bottom of the mountain, as they approached the lake, the trees began to twist and writhe. The branches of the trees intertwined to block their path. As they approached, the blockage only thickened. Crud, said Annabella. Somebody doesn't want us here. What the heck is this? Nobody told me the entire forest would be trying to stop us from moving, Lilith stammered. Get used to it. I run into stuff like this all the time, Annabella explained. Hey, be glad they're only blocking us and not attacking. At that point, tiny, sharp barbs began to fly out of the woods, scraping and slicing at the members of the team. They scattered and hid behind a large stone, screaming obscenities in confusion. What was that you said about them not attacking? Sam exclaimed. I spoke too soon. Annabella sighed as she confidently abandoned the cover to approach the trees. Wait! Brady yelled after her, but she was walking out, head held high. The barbs bounced off her like cotton balls. The young woman looked more annoyed that she had to deal with another thing than she was in any type of danger. Hey! You might as well stop it! This isn't gonna do anything! I gotta be honest, I'm already bored with your attempts to stop us. How about this? You'll stop, you won't fire another stinking barb at my new friends here, and we'll walk through to the lake in peace. Or I'll light up this place like it's a new year. The barbs only increased in frequency, and there began to be a faint scent in the air. My eyes are burning, said Brady, and closed his eyes and turned away behind the stone. My lungs are burning, said Lilith, and held her breath and turned away as well. And then they all heard a snap, followed by what sounded like an enormous crash, like a meteor striking the ground. Only Sam saw the bright light that lit up the entire area. A few moments later, Annabella was back around the stone. The gas is cleared now. You can come out, Annabella cheerfully explained. What about the barb things? Asked Lilith, petrified. There's no more barb things, responded Annabella confidently, motioning the rest of the gang to come out and join her. As they all came out, they saw the forest was nothing but a smoldering ash of burned-out tree stumps and smoke. Brady was the first to speak up. What in the hellfire was that? Lilith chimed in with a wink. Hellfire's not far off. I felt the heat of that from here, Sam clamored from behind the rock. The point is, Annabella continued, we can go now. Let's get to the lake. She helped them gather their things and hurried them toward the other end of the forest. As they walked, she continued, I know the local water spirit, so it shouldn't be too much trouble to get across, provided he's not mad at me for being gone so long. Hours passed as they walked through the ruins of the now ravaged forest. It only began to be more verdant and green as they approached the lake. As they did, trees and greenery seemed to bend and sway in order to keep their distance. At one point, Sam stopped and sat on a tree stump and could swear it was trembling. When they reached the lake, Annabella walked directly to the water and knelt down as if to pray, with her forehead and hands in the water. I know you're here. Annabella lifted her head and rose to her feet. Any chance we can cross here without any trouble? I'm sorry I haven't been here in a while. I really had no idea how much time had passed. At that point, a serpent rose out of the lake and blocked the setting sun for the group of adventurers. It almost immediately blocked their path and lunged at them with bites and attacks to crush them or knock them out of the area. They ran around trying to avoid the creature's strikes. As they ran, Sam and Annabella met up, hiding together behind one of the trees along the lake shore. What are we gonna do about this thing? Annabella spat. Can't you just kill it with whatever that flash thing was back there early in the forest? This isn't a tree. I can't just find a seed and plant a new one. That's how it is with these beasts. There's almost always only one of them, and if you kill it, there'll never be another one ever. I don't know about you, but I'm not all about eradicating an entire species off the planet. Oh. Now, how about you nice folks help me find a way around this guy so I can get you to your magic thingy? Their talk was interrupted by Brady's war cry. He ran towards the beast with an axe and immediately got knocked on his butt. He landed next to them, and his axe flew into a tree 20 feet away. I'm sorry to interrupt your tea party, gals, but we got a real problem here. The serpent was chasing Lilith up the dirt as she was screaming for dear life. Well, panicked Sam, it looks like Lilith is doing a good job of keeping our new friend distracted, but we need to help her. Oh, hey, a distraction. That's just what we need. Annabella ran out into the open and began thrusting rocks at the giant creature's head. When each rock hit, it exploded into a brilliant display of lights and sparks. The show succeeded in getting the creature to come after her instead of Lilith. Hey, fan club, when I tell you, make a mad dash for the other side of the lake. Lilith nodded. Big boy, be ready. Sammy Pooh, you be ready too. At that, Annabella dashed into action, weaving a path through the trees along the side of the lake with the creature nipping at her heels. Come on, big fella, let's go further in. She went deeper into the forest, but when she looked to check, the creature had turned back and was approaching the water again. Seeing her friends still waiting for some sign to move, she whistled as loud as she could and waved them on. Then she threw more rocks to get the serpent's attention back onto her. She grabbed a pocket full of rocks and ran into the forest as deep as the serpent would follow her, and ran around the perimeter of the lake, occasionally winging a few more rocks at the creature to keep its attention on her. As the party got close to the lake, the surface of the water solidified in front of their feet. At first they hesitated, but when they heard her scream, "Run!" they got into gear and started moving toward the other side of the lake. They had to trust with every step that the next step would be solid, but they kept running. The feeling of hope peaked a tiny bit as they neared the other side of the lake. But as they looked ahead, they saw that Annabella was approaching right where they were going to end up. How'd she get here that fast? Yelled Sam. She's amazing, said Lilith. What about him? Announced Brady, motioning toward the serpent following Annabella. No sooner had they wondered this than they got their answer in the form of Annabella shouting, "Get in the forest! Go, go, go!" While the giant creature appeared to gain on her. They gave it their all and ran into the cover of the trees and kept running. They heard several pops and bangs from behind them, but they were too scared to turn and look and see what it was. You can stop running now, a familiar voice said, suddenly beside them. They turned, surprised, to see Annabella gleefully smiling and jogging, making pace with them. They stopped, confused, and tried to catch their breath. Lilith was the first to speak up. You didn't kill that thing? Nah, it's doing its thing, swimming around probably. Where we going next, partner? She said as she playfully jabbed Brady in the ribs. Wait, asked Lilith, finally speaking up. So that thing is no longer chasing us? Correct. The thing is no longer chasing us. And those trees, they're not going to suddenly spring to life and attack us? Not these trees. Honestly, it wasn't the So what the heck have you been doing all this time? I thought I knew about your powers, but you destroyed that forest earlier. It was what sounded like a snap. And just now we heard all these cracks and pops, and suddenly that thing isn't chasing us anymore. We didn't get to see either time, but you're doing something. There was a long silence. Then Annabella spoke in a sober tone. You said you knew all about me, right? Lilith nodded yes. Then you know I use magic. The entire party looked uncomfortable. I know. Even a long time ago, magic users were rare. Masters even more so. The thought of someone devoting their entire life to a practice that most people didn't think existed just seemed beyond ridiculous. I never really had a choice, though. I don't even remember back to the very beginning. Annabella looked lost in thought for a moment. She sat, or rather nearly collapsed into a seated position, and continued. I tried for a long time not to think about it. Not study, not improve. I thought if I stayed weak, didn't learn my powers, and someone would come along and beat me. Someone would... Well, anyway, it didn't happen. And when you're looking at practically forever in front of you, the days don't go any faster. You know, you get bored. You start wondering what you can do. Probably everybody I knew was dead before I even tried my powers out for the first time. Oh my God, so many regrets. That first war. Imagine how much I could have helped. Would the world even look like it does today if I'd have stepped in? Annabella started clenching her hair and shaking side to side. Yay. Sam reached over and touched her shoulder. Annabella calmed down and came back to herself. I'm sorry. I'm not sure where anyway, I got better with my powers after a lot of practice, and now I can do all kinds of stuff with them. I ignited all the air around the forest earlier. Wait, where is it? Oh. I ignited the air around the forest earlier to kill the tree ants who were firing darts at us, and I kicked up a dust cloud and filled it with magical lightning to distract this lake serpent to get it off your tails. Annabella looked around. The party looked just as confused as before she started talking. She decided to clarify one more thing. I don't like using my powers. When people see them, they usually tell all their friends, and they never stop asking for favors. Since I don't know you, I didn't really want to show off. I really don't feel like running the world right now. There was a long silence. Brady spoke up first. We'd never ask you to run the world. If it makes you feel better, how about we make a deal? Annabella spoke up. Annabella looked up. How about, Brady continued, we promise to handle the problems from here on out, and you can only step in if things get really serious. I have to tell you, we're not exactly helpless. It wasn't exactly a picnic getting to that cave where you were sleeping. Annabella stood up with a weak but growing smile. I actually wasn't sleeping. I was meditating. See, I have this connection with the universe, and I can feel all the... Oh, never mind. Anyway, I'm in. You guys take care of yourselves. I'll step in if it seems like something you can't handle. I'm not a fan of babysitting. Ha! They began walking toward the town. The only picture that's in the book, which is actually supposed to be this. Annabella stepping out of the cave. That's what you see there. Yeah. Oh, and there's a set of eyes right there. You see, somebody was in that cave with her. And Ricky knows who. What do you want? I'm gonna let you handle things here in town. We need a place to stay. I'm assuming you have some of what these people consider to be money, right? Ricky. Yay. We've got money, Brady said. We have some left over from the last town before we came and got you. It's a day's journey that way. Should be all the same. It was not. Yay. Aw. At every store, every hotel, it was the same story. They got yelled at and kicked out in every place they went into, all for having the wrong money. They finally went into a store and asked where the bank would be so they could change their money over. We got no bank in this town, said the man. They stopped for help. The guys in the next town have a bank, he said, gesturing in the town from which they just came. The entire party just slumped. They all walked outside of the town and started to discuss what to do next. Maybe we can just sleep under the trees outside, said Lilith. Sam and Brady discussed. I could build a fire, said Sam. Brady responded, I guess I could make the rest of the food. It was really for the temple and the mountain, but I might find something to kill while we're up on the mountain. Annabella interrupted. How much money do you have? Sam stirred around in her pockets. Well, we did actually have plenty, but the bank is a couple of days away. You think they're still open today? Annabella chimed in again. Brady stammered. Yeah, probably. Just, there's no way to get... I've been sleeping in a cave for I don't know how long. I'm cold and I'm dirty. I'm getting a bed and a bath, and so are you. So give me your money. The group rustled around in their pockets and handed her some handfuls of crumpled up bills and coins. She looked it over and shoved it all in a pocket before speaking up again. Okay, where's this next town? And you're sure they'll have the money these people use? Sam responded, yeah, they're like a cash repository for all the towns in the area. A few of the places won't take each other's money, but I didn't think it would be this bad. Anyway, the bank is not open all that much longer today, but I'm not sure you can make it, whatever you're planning on doing. Annabella chuckled. I'll make it. Just point me in the general direction, I'll find it. If there's one thing I know, money changes don't change. I'll probably recognize the bank from the air. Brady swallowed. The air? Which way is it, big boy? Annabella prodded him in the ribs again. That way. Brady straightened up. It's probably a good 50 miles that way. I suggest you talk to Chad. He's a bit of a wet blanket, but he'll do the job without a lot of hubbub. Hubbub? I'm rubbing off I'm rubbing off on you already, Bubsy. Okay, anyway, stand up. Stand back. My takeoff can be a bit, expressive. The crew took a couple of steps back, wondering what she was planning to do. She crouched down as if to jump. As she prepared, silvery white lines began to trace in the air around her, and the earth began to quake. Then it all exploded, the force blowing the group back, and seemingly in an instant she was a dot disappearing in the sky. Holy crap! Did you see that? She could rocket us up that mountain in half a second. What the heck are we doing walking? Lilith explained. I don't know. I think we have to respect her wishes. She doesn't want to carry us. Personally, I think we have an opportunity to make ourselves stronger. That's not going to happen with us relying on her for everything. And you heard her. She freaked out about using her powers earlier, thinking she's going to have all kinds of people asking her to do too much stuff. And, Brady piped up, judging by what we've seen so far, we're about as helpless as ants compared to her. Probably not a good idea to get her in a bad mood. Best case, she could leave and we'd never find her. Worst case, she could smush us like stepping on a she could smush us like stepping on a slice of fresh baked bread and we'd give her about the same amount of fight. She's nothing like what I read about. The Annabella from the stories is always willing to help, always wants to do something for someone and make their lives easier, Lilith complained. Sam retorted, we just better be happy she's willing to help us at all. Now we gotta shut up. You saw how fast she left. She might be back any second. Sam spoke not a second too soon. No sooner than the words came out, the air around them began to swell and ripple. The party's ears popped with the pressure of the atmosphere around them. The pressure ripples became more pronounced and started to become visible. A dot appeared on the horizon, and a microsecond later, and a microsecond later, with a slightly less fantastic boom than expected, Annabella was back, not so much as disturbing the dirt more than if she had just simply jumped up and down. Sorry, Brady, she began. Your buddy wasn't there. I had to talk to some dame named Cynthia, but she helped me out. I didn't get the name of this village here, but when I told her where it is, she told me this money ought she told me this money ought to work here. So let's go ask. The group all looked at each other and decided not to ask how she made such a spectacular landing so quietly. They went into town and got a hotel and some food. The same people who had been so rude earlier were suddenly friendly when you brought them the money that they recognized. They got a few weird looks for coming back a few minutes later with the right money, but no one really asked, save for Brady once they were all settled in. That's right, Zeke. You're exactly right. Between bites of a delicious plate of food, Brady simply looked up and said, I mean, seriously, though. Holy crap, that was cool. How fast were you going? How'd you get going that fast? My God, girl, that was crazy. Lilith exclaimed. Oh, geez, sorry, Annabella. Don't worry about him. She scowled at Brady at his freak out. Sam joined in as well in Brady's defense. Yeah, we're just glad you could help. Annabella looked up from her plate right into the eyes of Brady. Oh my God, right? What was it like watching me fly away? Well, I bet it looked cool as I don't know what. Brady jumped in, even more excited than before. Dude, how did you land like that? You came in hot. I didn't leave it. You didn't even leave a mark on the ground. Anybody who didn't literally see you fly away or land wouldn't be able to tell you did anything other than walk. Oh, I know, right? The pressure waves didn't bother you? I forgot to warn you. They're how I land without creating earthquakes everywhere I go. They can be pretty intense if you're not expecting them. That's what that was? My ears popped and I didn't know why. That was so cool to see you land, though. I pretty much knocked us out, but it was so cool. They all relaxed a bit and talked the rest of the night at dinner and then in the hotel. The next morning, they found a guide and made their way up the mountain. The guide left about 3/4 of the way up, and they were on their own. Jeez, it's cold up here, complained Lilith. It's gonna get worse, Annabella advised Annabella. Brady mused. You been here before? No, I actually don't know why I said that. Probably is, though. We have to go up higher, said Annabella absent-mindedly. Brady raised an eyebrow. So have you been up here or not? How'd you know we need to go up higher? We haven't talked about it. I don't really know. This all looks familiar. The mountain, at least. It's weird. Ah, look, a bridge. Sam, you like the look of this bridge? Asked Lilith. I do not, replied Sam. Looks like it'll fall apart under the weight of. It looks like it'll fall apart under the weight of a fly. Just then, a fly landed on a plank next to the bridge in front of them. The plank exploded into a million tiny shards. The entire group jumped out of their skins, save for Annabella, barely able to contain herself. Oh my God, your faces! Oh, come on. This bridge is probably fine, she said as she skipped merrily across the bridge. Sam followed, walking carefully. Lilith, trembling, walked after her. Then it was Brady's turn. I don't feel so good about this. I'm not exactly a featherweight, he said as he gingerly took his first steps. Ugh, he complained as he slowly walked, testing each plank as he walked from one to the next. Each plank creaked and complained once his full weight was on it, but they were staying solid until one didn't. Brady tested a step, then slowly put his weight down until he had the confidence to test the next step. As he began to reach his foot out to touch the next plank, he heard a snap, and suddenly the bridge was above him. The group watched helpless as his body plummeted to the depths below. Annabella stretched her arms upward and a ball of light appeared above her head. She cast her hands down in the direction of their falling comrade, and a stream of light stretched toward him in lightning speed. Brady, staring into the abyss and making peace with his life, hardly noticed the hand that had formed out of the stream of light that had come to catch him. Oof! The catch took the wind out of Brady, but he was alive. He looked in the direction where it came from and realized just how far he had fallen. His party was just a group of dots on the top of the range of his sight. As he started to ascend, the hand that was wrapped around him spoke, or rather resounded, with the sound of Annabella's voice. I got you, big boy. Don't you worry about a thing. As Annabella slowly pulled her new friend to the top, Lilith looked worried and afraid. Did you know that was going to happen? She accused. Nope, Annabella responded. Why? Couldn't you have scanned it or something? Or just protect the bridge with your magic so it doesn't fall apart in the first place? What are you even doing? You do realize I literally have your friend's life in my hands right now, right? This isn't really the time for criticism. I mean, if you want, I can drop him and let you pull him up on your own. That's not what I... Here, you go ahead and pull him up now. I'll even let you use my magic hand. Annabella made a motion like she was going to hand the rope to Lilith. Don't worry, it'll burn at first, but you'll get used to it after 100 years or so. I was just saying we didn't have to go through... Annabella continued pulling up Brady. Boring. Holding up a bridge is boring. Scanning, as you call it, for weaknesses in the wood is boring. I didn't know what would happen because I didn't want to know. If it was you that fell through, I'd have saved your butt too. What are y'all even studying that fan club of yours anyway? Because apparently it ain't me. As Brady got to the top of the hill, the mood was very awkward. Thank you so much for saving me. He ran over and gave Annabella a hug and squeezed hard. Hey, I told you I didn't feel like carrying anybody, didn't I? What were you thinking going around falling like that? Brady let go and looked sheepish. Then she gave him an attack hug and smiled and gave him an elbow in the ribs. I'm just kidding with you, buddy. You know I got you. Let's keep going. As she walked along, whistling the whole way. Minutes later, they approached a large stone door. Any of this look familiar? Any of this look familiar to you? Brady asked. Nope, sorry, but it does look like the door's still open, Annabella noticed. As they stepped inside, they saw that the place was in ruins. There were expired traps with poison arrows long since fired. A giant boulder split in half on the ground. Burn marks that looked like fire traps that had been set off long ago. Annabella stopped for a moment to examine the wreckage. She stared for a long time at the boulder, wondering what could have broken it. In the middle of the path were hundreds of arrows, many of which were simply broken, but none of them were embedded in any skeletons, and lots of them had the tips broken off. The rest of the group followed the path of the destruction followed the path of destruction inward until they found a door slightly open and went inside. The group took a collective gasp as they entered the chamber inside. As they entered the chamber. Inside, it was flawless, other than being covered in an almost impossible amount of dust. Wow, this place hasn't been visited in ages, exclaimed Sam. Okay, Lilith, it's your time to shine. What are we looking for? Lilith contemplated for a moment. Then she spoke. We're looking for something that doesn't fit. The weapons in here are the weapons of old kings that existed eons ago. They would come here and pray for power, and every time they would take over the world. But one empress came in and took all three weapons and had all the power in the world. The legend says that she took the power out of the swords and imbued them into a magical hair clip that she always wore. It is It's said that she had fallen in love with a human and came here to give her status up as a god and married a human. She came here, returned the swords and her magic hair clip containing all her powers. Whoever wears that hair clip gets the powers that she left behind. At that moment, Annabella came through the door. Huh, what a cool story. Never heard it. Lilith looked dejected. I thought if anybody knew about this story, you would. Where'd you get your powers? You telling me you never been here? Annabella mused. I don't know. It certainly does look familiar, but I couldn't tell you a thing about your story. I heard you talking from the other side of the door. I never heard no queen or goddess coming in the mountains with magic swords, and believe me, that's the kind of thing I know about. Nah, this place does look familiar though. On a pedestal was a small rainbow hair clip. Annabella began to walk over, and Lilith screamed. Wait! Huh? Don't touch it! Oh, yeah, go ahead. That's the item we're looking for. Please, it's my turn. I've been studying this story my entire life. If anybody's gonna wear that and gain its powers, it's gonna be me. Lilith was resolute. Hey, do your thing, girl. Don't let me stop you. I just don't think this is... Thank you. Lilith was relieved and pushed past. For years I've been a nobody, the butt of jokes, a bit part of my own life. Well, no more. She picked up the rainbow hair clip and held it up above her head. The rest of the party looked on in encouragement. Lilith continued. I will be the queen of this world and I will make everything better. Just you wait. She placed the clip in her hair and waited and waited. Do something cool, Annabella cried out. Make a fireball. Ooh, or a light shield. Those are my favorite. I don't know how, Lilith complained. Huh. As she walked over and said Annabella as she walked over and examined Lilith. Okay, just kind of hold your hands up like this and think of the shape of a shield. That's what I do. It should just kind of appear if something's coming at you. Lilith did as she was told, and Annabella continued. You ready? Yes. Annabella held out a finger, and a small ball of pressure and light appeared in front of it. She made a swiping motion toward Lilith, and it rocketed at her, slamming into her stomach, knocking the wind out of her with a big oof. Annabella looked up, surprised. I'm sorry. Oh my God. I thought you were ready. She ran over to the slumped frame of her acquaintance and helped her up. Yeah, sorry. Oh, God, that's like a punch in the gut, huh? Your shield should have showed up, or like something should have happened. You want to try again? Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Lilith barely managed to whimper, yes, as Annabella helped her back on her feet. You sure there ain't a trick to this thing? Some stuff you gotta recite or some dumb incantation to activate it or whatever? Lilith, finally catching her breath, spoke. You're just supposed to put it in your hair. She took a deep breath and spoke more clearly. That's all I've ever heard. Okie doke. Just seems weird to me is all. Annabella pulled up another little light / pressure ball. This one's much smaller than the last. All right, sweet cakes. This is coming right at your left hip. It won't knock the wind out of you, but it'll put you right on your rumpus. So be ready. Lilith began drawing continuous circles with her finger and concentrating very hard. I'm ready. The next ball came in a second later and sent the would-be goddess shooting a few feet back, landing her square on her hindquarters with a big whump. The whole team rushed over to help her up, asking if she was okay. I'm fine. I just don't know what's happening. Okay, I'm gonna try one more thing, honey buns, and it's gonna be scary. I'm gonna fire off a shot that, if you don't block it, it'll vaporize you. What? You're crazy. She did. Oh wait, sorry. What? You're crazy. She didn't block the little thing. Now you're gonna fire something bigger at her? Brady protested. I thought you didn't. I thought you said you didn't like killing people. What happens if she gets hit? Please reconsider, begged Sam. Your friend's gonna be fine. I've seen this before. A power-up that doesn't activate until the user is in danger. All I gotta do is give that thing a reason to turn on and she'll be flying you guys down the mountain in no time. The party still protested and grumbled but stood back. Okay, sweetie pie, you're gonna be fine. If anything's gonna activate your powers, this will. Now, strike a fighting pose, Annabella said with a smile. Lilith summoned up all her confidence and struck her best battle pose. It looked like something you would see from a child watching a martial arts show, but she held it with pride. Annabella struck a more impressive pose that looked like she had stood like this 1,000 times before. This time there was no little ball, no warning of any kind, save for a battle cry that came from Annabella. The cry was deeper and more serious than anything the party had ever heard from her before, and they all jumped back in fear. The master threw a solid punch, and the pressure wave of the motion was enough to knock the entire party on the ground. The main attack wave struck with a giant smash, and the entire mountain shuddered. The party looked toward Lilith, and there she was, scared but standing, and a large bluish-white shield glowed in front of her hands. "Oh man, it worked!" exclaimed Brady. "Holy moly," said Sam. "Lilith is a superhero." "No, she's not," replied Annabella, disappointed. "That was my shield, and if hers had worked, I wouldn't have needed to put it up for her." She's not the chosen one. Right? The shield slowly faded until it disappeared. Annabella looked concerned. "Hey, babes, mind if I take a look at that trinket of yours?" Lilith knelt down and presented her hair for Annabella to inspect. Annabella walked over. She looked the hair clip over, examining it closely with a puzzled expression. Then she gasped. "It's all coming back to me now. This was mine. No wonder I didn't recognize any of your story. It ain't true. Not a speck of it. I was up here doing something. I guess I don't remember that part. Probably fighting somebody or something. But I do remember getting all confused and walking out. I think I came in a different way, though." She started to walk away from Lilith, lost in her own thoughts. "I remember it was some kind of monks or something. I don't remember. This must have been at least 2 cycles ago." At this point, Annabella was just wandering around the room, feeling around the walls and talking to herself, while the rest of the group watched on in confusion. Then they all spoke up in unison. "Hey!" They each began complaining. Lilith, incredulous that the legend was just being tossed aside. Sam, asking if Annabella was sure that what she was saying was true, and Brady complaining that he had almost died, seemingly for nothing. Annabella snapped out of her musings. "Huh?" Brady took a deep breath and spoke up first. "Are you telling me we went through all this for nothing?" Lilith interrupted. "Sorry, he's probably a bit upset on the fact that he almost died on the way here. What he means is there any way you're mistaken? Maybe this just looks like the one you remember." "Barely remember," Annabella responded. And it's not the clip that reminded me. That was just the confirmation I needed. While I was out there, I looked at some of those arrows and the other traps and the broken off tips, all that. Kind of looks like what would happen if I was in here. And there's more. This room. I could swear I've been in this room before. I ain't a mystical queen or nothing, but I do recognize the place. The final confirmation will be if I can find the back door. I've been around for a while. I could be misremembering. Sam piped up. So this really could be one of the magical totems after all? Sure. If this door isn't where I think it is, then I'm probably remembering a different magic temple. She kept feeling along the walls. Who knows? These places used to pop up all over the place. Maybe the one I remember isn't even. Let me try to get this right. Maybe the one. These places used to pop up all over the place. Maybe the one I remember doesn't even exist anymore. Nope, this is it. Sorry, I had to get that right. Maybe the one I remember doesn't even exist anymore. Nope, this is it. Annabella felt around and found a small depression in the stone about the size of her two hands. She pulled on it, and the door slid out along the side of the walls, along a parallel track. It was dark on the other side, but the team could feel a breeze coming from the distance in the accompanying room. Lilith fell over. Sam just slumped. Brady stood up and stretched. So what you're saying, he took a step forward, is that we came all this way for nothing. Sorry, if I'd have known beforehand, I'd have told you not to bother. He took another step towards Annabella. All this, my goodness, I'm just tired. I was just hoping this would all be worthwhile, he sighed. Thanks for the help anyway, he slumped down. Hey, you'll find him, and you know what? When you do, come find me. I could always use a sparring partner, Annabella encouraged. She walked past him and patted him on the shoulder on her way to Lilith. She passed Sam on the way and just made eye contact and asked, You okay? To which Sam quietly nodded. She approached Lilith. If it makes you feel any better, it was my favorite hair clip. It doesn't. Lilith breathed the words into the ground. Is any part of the legend true? Probably not. I would recommend not to base your next expedition. Not to base your next expedition. Let's get that right. There you go. Right. I would recommend not to base your next expedition on legends. I've seen plenty of these magical thingamabobbers, and half of them don't do anything. Most of the people taking over the world already have enough power and money to do it without some trinket. You want to be seen, you want to be heard, try speaking up. It'll probably work better for you. Lilith made grumbling sounds into the ground. Okay, guys, this is the way out. If I remember correctly, it leads to a much easier way down. I'll put up a protective barrier all the way down so you find your way down without much trouble. Sorry I didn't remember this way earlier. She started to walk out, but then turned back. Hey, it's not my fault people attach stories to every random thing they find lying around. I am glad you found it, though. I did like this hair clip. Hope you enjoy it. Annabella left the temple through the back area, and it did, indeed, lead to a much safer way down the mountain. She put up little glowing way markers to help the crew along their path and put up protective barriers. I gotta find Leo, she said to herself on the way down. I gotta find a town. I like how y'all got a good read on Lilith already. Meet Rob. Annabella was still a little worried about her adventurer friends, but glad to be out of the temple. It was dank and heavy with the feelings of desperate people looking for power, not a place to stay for long. Yes, Leo and Rob coming soon. The sleepy town was boring. The feeling was welcome, but not altogether pleasant, as anyone experienced in the art of boredom will tell you, and Annabella was well versed in boredom. There was hardly a moment in life that she couldn't expect. There was hardly anything she couldn't see coming. She walked into a service station and wandered around a bit and gotten that feeling. She'd seen it all before. She saw the guy in the gray hoodie and gruddy brown cargo pants. She saw his tattered shoes and the desperation in his eyes from the first second she walked into the service station. The guy's name was probably Steven. Steven probably didn't like his name. Annabella bet Steven was counting on his cop dad to help him out of the trouble he gets into for robbing this place. First offense and all. I like Lilith. She's so cute. Yeah, she is cute. Um, let's see. Stephen was nervous, and Annabella could see it while making her selections. Maybe I'll just overpay once Stephen leaves, she thought. The gas station attendant mindlessly turned the page on his local newspaper, half paying attention to his patrons while eyeing an advertisement for a concert coming to his town the next week. Annabella finished making her selections and made her way to the front, hoping the little money Brady had let her keep was enough to pay for what she wanted. She wished Stephen had simply gotten a move on with his dumb robbery. It's not like he was even going to fire that gun he's holding. Maybe a robbery would have provided some small amount of entertainment for tonight. Oh well, not like I haven't talked to the type of police in charge of sleepy old towns like this before. I'll just head home, she thought to herself. That'll be 14, said the cashier, and upon hearing the click and whir of the till opening up, Stephen sprung into action. Nobody move! Screamed the robber, excitedly pointing the gun at the attendant. It was only then that Annabella realized that she didn't actually know this guy's name. Yeah, boy, this is a robbery. Give me all the money in the till, said the man, his pale skin clammy with nervous sweat. Hey, what's your name? Asked Annabella, casually turning around face to face with the business end of a very excited pistol. Turn around, ordered the man, stepping closer to the even more bored-looking woman and shakily pressing the pistol to her head. With a smile, Annabella answered, I'm going to call you Stephen. Why don't you run along, Stephen? I know you're scared, and your dad isn't going to be able to help you out of jail when you get caught. The robber looked confused and then determined. Hey, yo, forget that. I hate that name. My name's Ratchet, yo. How do you know my dad was a cop? Look, Stephen, Annabella sighed. I've been around the block once or twice. I know how this goes. Why don't you just go home and forget this ever happened? She reached up and began to lower the weapon in the would-be criminal's hands. The gas station attendant, frozen up to this point, but gaining confidence now that she saw Annabella's control of the situation, finally spoke up. Yeah, man, nobody's got to get hurt. Upon hearing this, Stephen/Ratchet noticed what was happening and increased his grip on the firearm. However, since his finger had already been on the trigger, all three of them heard a loud pop with two bright lights and a little clink on the ground. Stephen, now assured that the life of Mr. Ratchet was just too crazy for him and revisiting his choice to become a chartered accountant, ran out the door, leaving Annabella holding the freshly fired weapon. Crap, she thought as Stephen ran out the door. He definitely saw that. What am I going to say now? Annabella turned and her fear was realized. The attendant was standing in awe of what he had just seen. There was definitely the unmistakable pop of a gun firing. The gun was definitely pointed around about 2 feet from his customer's left thigh. Where was the blood? Where was the pain? Annabella groaned in more pain than if she had actually been shot. This guy saw her shield, and there was no way to explain it away. All she could do was try to laugh it off before this guy started following her around. Lucky me, he missed. 14, you said? Keep the change. Annabella stammered and threw a wad of bills and change at the guy and tried to run out the door. She got a few steps out the door when the man came running after her. Hey, the attendant said. What the hell was that? That guy shot you. What happened? He missed. Lucky me. Look, I gotta go, she urged and started walking again. No, The attendant argued. Hell no, he didn't miss. What the hell was that flash of light when the bullet hit? The bullet's sitting right on my floor in there. You don't know what you're talking about, man. Just forget about it. Tomorrow this is all gonna seem like a dream. Annabella started to finish, but was interrupted by the man grabbing her wrist. This wasn't a dream. I can feel your skin. Now, I got the tapes right in there. You gonna make me bring that up again so I can see it? What was it? Tell me. I won't tell anybody. What the heck was that back there? That, the master groaned, was my shield. What, like you're some kind of superhero? The man exclaimed. She hesitated, but then continued. It was too late. There was no getting away from this. No, it's more like I'm connected to the universe, and the universe really doesn't want me to die. The man stared, waiting for her to continue. Don't you have a gas station to run? She begged. Dude, there's nobody in there. I doubt I'll get another customer the whole night in this town. Plus, I own the place, so I could just decide it's closed for the night. Annabella exhaled, defeated. What's your name anyway? If I'm not going to get rid of you, I might as well know who I'm talking to. I'm Rob, and don't act like you're not excited to talk to me. I could see you were just as bored as I was in there. Rob exclaimed. What's yours? Rob, you just got robbed. You just got yourself. Aren't you reeling? Traumatized? Go home or something. Trust me, it's not worth your time to be hanging around with me, Annabella said, walking away. He got himself. Oh, yay! Is that Mihai? She's pretty. Thank you. Rob gave chase, not giving up. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna talk to a frickin' superhero when one falls into my lap. Just tell me, what's up? What can you do? Who's your arch enemy? Where's your lair? What about side? Okay, Annabella interrupted, spinning on her heels and stopping Rob in his tracks. I don't know what you've been reading, but it ain't like that. I don't have enemies. I live in a house, and any powers I have certainly don't solve my problems or wouldn't be here talking to you. Rob considered for a moment, then demanded, your powers probably could solve your problems if you wanted. You could probably just kill me if you wanted, I bet. Just tell me your name. Annabella turned away, but he followed again. Just show me something. How does that force field thing work? That stopped a bullet. That's no small feat. And how did you know that guy wasn't going to shoot you in the head? That had to have been why you were so calm. Dear God, you're annoying. Jeez, I'm Annabella. You happy? The master proclaimed, stopping again. Rob stood there, blank-faced. I don't like you, Annabella exclaimed. Rob paused for a moment and smiled. Hi, Annabella. She started to walk away again, but he piped up from behind her. Hey, can you fly? Annabella exploded. I give up. She turned around and walked back to him with purpose. You want to see something cool? I'll show you something. Rob's face lit up with an ecstatic smile. Yeah. Hey, Lance, please tell me you're still alive. Lance appeared behind Rob. Rob jumped. Holy shit! That's not the cool thing. Annabella rolled her eyes. Although, yeah. Yay. Oh, making me blush. That's not the cool thing. Although, yeah. Annabella looked at Lance and he rolled his eyes too, then shot him a knowing glance. Do me a favor. Are you sure? Lance puzzled. Annabella with a smirk. Yeah, whatever. If he gets uppity, you can throw him off a cliff. Lance disappeared, and a few seconds later he reappeared, this time standing next to... This time, standing next to an open portal next to Rob. Lance looked at Rob with a devilish smile. All right, go ahead. Rob looked at Annabella and she gave him an exasperated, go on motion. He nervously stepped through the portal into a darkened room. From what he could make out in the darkness, it was quite a luxurious place. He stared up at the high vaulted ceiling with the ornate detailing in the design. As the portal closed behind him, he could feel the flames from the fireplace which provided the only light in the room. Rob wondered where his hosts got off to, but since he had no way to get back, he decided to explore the place a bit more. He sat on a chair, the design of which looked and felt handmade. But the design was something he never had seen before, mixing smooth, delicate textures with sudden boxed corners and harsh designs. The wood of the chair felt to him older than anything he had ever felt before. He looked around the room a bit more, and shapes started to take form in the firelight. He saw bookshelves and the outline of books. There was a doorway leading out into a long hallway in the darkness. But in the darkness on the other end of the hall was nothing more than an empty void. He got up to take a closer look, but on his way out the door, his foot touched something that felt vaguely organic. That can't be right, he thought as he looked down to see what it was that he stepped on. It looked like the end of a long leathery rope. No, it's too thick and it starts widening as it goes along. His eyes traced the shape into the darkness as he continued to eliminate possibilities. A snake probably would have moved when I touched it. Plus, it's too hard. I don't know any creature who has skin that smooth, and this thing is long and it's raising up. This is a tail. I stepped on a tail, and how high is that going up? That's to my chest. No, 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 no. What the? This isn't any animal I've ever heard of. As his gaze reached the owner of the tail, his eyes focused and he took a step back, searching for the top of this thing. His eyes met the ceiling before the top of the creature was visible. What are you doing here? The voice rang out from the darkness and vibrated his entire skeleton like a buzzsaw cutting through a fresh pine board. Rob tried to speak, but all words eluded him. You could assume the words suspected that if they escaped his lips, they'd be interrupted by the soft gurgling of a throat freshly impaled by a 9-inch long finger spike. And none of them wanted to be the word that happened to. Who are you, anyway? The words sliced into his soul. Rob finally found his footing and was able to mutter out a response. I'm Rob, Rob said. I don't know how I got here. Are you afraid? Rob could scarcely hold his bladder as the words invaded his mind. Every cell in his body wanted to scream and run in horror, but was simultaneously frozen in place. I mean, Rob tried and failed to gather his nerves. I'll be honest, yeah, this is scary as hell. If you're gonna kill me, just do it. Let me look at you. Rob grasped a hold. Rob grasped at his hold of reality as each word tore through his mind like a hot knife. A long, shining black tendril darted from the darkness and curled smoothly around the back of Rob's neck and under his chin. It then pulled him up with a solid pressure. Rob winced as a pair of gleaming eyes came into view, and nothing else. Yay! I hope you like it, Coffee Lady. Let me see. There we go. The silvery black, featureless face stared at Rob through glowing blue-white orbs. Whatever this creature was had seen right into his soul and picked apart every secret with that first glance. The creature looked at him inquisitively, and Rob felt a tentacle wrap around his arm, and another graced the side of his face. He found himself enveloped in these tendrils around his waist and rib cage. Rob looked down, and his feet were a few feet from the floor. He was absolutely rigid when the next word cut like a blade into his mind's eye. Boo! The last thing Rob heard as his body gave out and everything went black was laughter. When he awoke, he was on a quite comfortable couch and the lights were on. Annabella was next to him relaxing. There was beautiful music playing in a language he didn't understand. He was relaxed and unsettled all at once. He sat up groggy and asked, "So how are you talking when you have no mouth?" Rob now realized that he could see all of the monster that had him in his grasp. Whatever it was sitting in a chair that looked specially made for it, next to a giant staircase that seemed to go on much longer than he expected. "That's your question?" echoed a voice from behind Rob. Turning around, Rob saw that the person who answered him was Annabella. There was more laughter as she spoke and looked around, and he looked around to gather his bearings. Jupiterians have two methods of communication. One is mental and one is more. At that moment, the entire room quaked with a familiar sound. "Destructive," she continued. Rob was barely listening while he was looking around the cavernous room. Everything looked well preserved, like a collection of beloved relics built up over many lifetimes. Annabella was on a couch, sitting behind him and on his left. And next to her was a tall, lanky, white-haired fellow. He only recognized this as Lance after a few seconds of shaking his head and looking around. "Where the heck am I?" he asked. "My house," Annabella sang. "That portal you stepped through took you straight from Podunkville to my living room where Leo was waiting to freak you out." The group laughed again. Leo caused the entire room to quake, but nothing seemed to get damaged. "What the heck is a Jupiterian?" Rob puzzled, rubbing his throbbing head in his hand. "I'm from Jupiter." The room quaked again. Rob put his palm to his forehead. "Well, that makes sense." He took in his surroundings more and walked towards Leo. "Oh, what makes him so interesting? Big and scary, big whoop. I only sent you here through a portal," Lance half joked, rolling his eyes. "Oh man, right. That was cool too. So you use telepathy or something? I just figured you had powers like her or something." Rob stood in front of Leo and inspected his tail. He was already desensitized. "Sorry," Annabella shot Lance a fake sorry expression with her bottom lip out. "Yeah, well, Venusians are just as interesting as Jupiterians," Lance protested. Rob looked over in Lance's direction. "Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, you're from another planet too? Does everybody have cool telepathy powers there?" "We don't use powers. We use technology. I have an earpiece tuned to Annabella's and Leo's signature, and I can hear them throughout the galaxy. This item on my wrist can open a portal to anywhere I wish. I personally designed the interface." And Lance was interrupted by Rob shouting, "Dude! Leo's hand is huge! I bet you could crush an engine block with one hand. I'm like literally standing in his hand." "Yes," responded Leo, looking awkwardly to his friends while Rob picked up one finger at a time. "Were you even listening to—" "Yeah, man, technology is cool. You can do all kinds of weird stuff with it. Wait, does that mean—" Rob turned around with a gasp and looked in the direction of Annabella and Lance. Lance looked hopeful that Rob would finally be interested in him more. "Does that mean you've been to Venus and Jupiter?" Rob stared at Annabella. Lance rolled his eyes. Annabella answered, "Yep." Rob ran over and sat on the couch next to Annabella. "Whoa, what are they like?" "She'll have to tell you all about it another time, sir, as we have other appointments," responded Lance. Annabella looked at Lance. Lance gave her a strained look. "North Mountains, a certain someone who hasn't seen you," he said between his perfectly polished teeth. Yeah, he's right. He's always right. I've got some stuff to get to. Just one more question before you go. How scary was Leo after all that buildup?" "I was so scared. I thought he was going to crush me with those tentacles of his. Now that I see him in the light, though, he's so cool." We call him the living embodiment of fear, Leo for short. He's not scared of you now. You do realize you passed out. Rob turned his head to face Leo. Leo's eyes met his own. His glossy black head the full size of Rob's torso. Rob reached forward and felt the slick, smooth surface where there should have been a face, and replied, I can feel how strong those tentacles are, and I'm pretty sure if he wanted to crush me, he could have. He didn't even hurt me when I was standing in his hand. The only thing this guy's guilty of is being different. Leo took a step back. Rob looked up at his new friend and concluded, and imposing. He's good, I'll tell you that. The voice of the Jupiterian rumbled and echoed through Rob's brain like an earthquake. What do you make of him, Lance? Lance, always seeming to be right where he couldn't see, did scare Rob when he appeared. Lance answered, Not scared by Leo is interesting, but he's also rather annoying. Shall we drop him off at home? Annabella thought for a moment and nodded. Rob, hearing all the hubbub was about him, chimed in. Hey, don't you know it's rude to talk about somebody in the third person when they're right here? Okay, what makes him so much more interesting than me? We're both from other planets, asked Lance. I'm not scared now that I can see him. I was earlier when it was all dark and mysterious. That's why I passed out. The whole situation was really scary. Now I see him, he's just cool. You got the technology thing going, but most of you just look human. You're right. He is annoying. Annabella conceded conceded, and with a whoop, Rob was back at the Sleepytown gas station. Just as the portal closed, the words "I think he's cute" cut into his mind like a blade. Rob looked around the quiet street. Nothing. Just nothing. Had it all been a daydream? If so, how did he get outside? Alright, I'm going to keep going a little bit more because y'all are having fun. Annabella was bored. The world she'd seen just didn't change enough to be exciting. The world had been at war, but now it was at peace. Rulers had come and gone. She'd had a family and children and friends and pets, but they were gone now. The only thing she had now was the emptiness. People who had brief brushes with death talked about the emptiness. But this was different. This was something you could feel. Time dragged on, but simultaneously blinked by in a flash. She was desperate for friends, but it seemed useless to try to find them because they'd all be gone by the time she even got used to having them around. Helping people didn't seem useful because using her powers seemed to cause more problems than they solved. The one solace was her friends. Leo had been around for a while. Lance was cool, but he probably wasn't going to hang around forever. She wished there was someone to get into the mix to liven things up. Maybe another round of meditation was in order. Would Lance be around at the end of it? Would Leo? She felt lucky that Brady, Sam, and Lilith had woken her up when they did. The vibration of the earth was comforting, but not enough to provide her with friendship or camaraderie. What she needed was someone to inject themselves into the madness. Someone who would refresh her zeal to be alive. She wasn't expecting some random gas station clerk to be the person to do all these things. You would think he's cute, Annabella growled at Leo. He is cute. I want to keep him. Leo would have grinned had he had a mouth. Instead, his smooth black armor shimmered in the light. I don't care either way. If you're going to bring him in, could you just not waste all our time on big reactions and debates? Some of us have things to get to. Yay. Annabella responded, Who said anything about bringing him in? And besides, what do you have to... Before he continued, Lance had already started in with the numbers. He saw your powers, giving him a 23.34% chance of being a part of the team. You had me teleporting him to our base, giving him a further 3.236% chance of learning your secrets. Not afraid of Leo, a fact that I know you found interesting, gave him a 10.4268% chance of joining the team. And you found him annoying, a fact that gives him a 2.6% higher chance of coming on board than the 9.678% likelihood than if you said you liked him. Yeah, but that's. Annabella tried to object but was interrupted. You don't trust your own judgment. So the fact that I gave you a less than 50% likelihood of recruitment means that you're almost definitely already thinking of going back to that gas station. Annabella tried to perk up, but before she could speak, she was interrupted. And don't even try to tell me my calculations are off. Lance interjected. And I thought Leo's voice in my head was a lot to deal with, proclaimed Annabella. I can't help that Venusians are thorough, concluded Lance. What? Did a bot say something? Oh, yeah. Weird. Let's see. I can't help that Venusians are thorough, concluded Lance. All right. So we should call this guy back? Annabella asked. No, Lance retorted. But you just said. The chances are 3.63 times higher that the gentleman known as Rob will join the team if he's forced to work for the chance. Oh, said Annabella confidently. I can do that. Yay, we're gonna get a new friend. Leo beamed. Back in town, Rob had gone back to the store and was looking at the bullet that bounced off Annabella earlier. While he was looking, he heard the door open, and on the ground was a muddy pair of mountain boots. The owner of those boots wore a sour expression and was slumped over as he trudged in with two friends in tow. Their muddy clothes and selves reeked of effort and disappointment. Every aisle they approached, they leaned on for support and stared at the wares in a daze. Rob hid the bullet, although he wasn't sure why. Then he ran behind the counter and feigned interest in something he found back there. I can't believe we went through all that for nothing, said a gruff voice from one of the people in the store. Another voice chimed in, Just be glad that you're alive. Annabella could have let you fall. I'm just glad we had her with us. It's bad enough we went through all that. I wouldn't know what to do if we lost someone along the way. Can we just stop talking about this? Said another voice, sad and wispy. At the mention of the name Annabella, Rob perked up. He listened more closely to hear what they were saying. I just wish we had asked her more of these things, where more of these things were, said the second voice. The person was dark-haired with medium build, short shoulder-length hair and a face that could use shoulder-length hair and a face that could be used to sell anything. Do you think we could ask her if we meet up with her again? What would be the point? The third voice responded, a short woman with a slate frame and blonde, wispy hair that matched her voice. Rob wished that they would divulge how they knew Annabella, and if it was the same Annabella that he ran across earlier that night. She, she obviously, wait, she obviously didn't want to tell us what she knew, or she would have done it already. She was distracted basically the whole time, the woman continued. Yeah, but she wanted to help. You could tell. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, but she wanted to help. You could tell. Instead, insisted the burly, well-built man, his broad shoulders almost knocking over items in the aisle. If we could, wait, if we could find her again, maybe we could pick her brain. Remember she said something about going to the northern mountains? The dark-haired stranger chipped in. I'm not sure how we're supposed to get there. We barely have any money left. We need to just try to go to the next totem and hope that it's not as useless as this one, replied the light-haired guest. The travelers brought their purchases to the front of the store to pay. You guys getting into some fun tonight? Rob didn't know why he asked that. He would usually ask, "Did you find everything okay?" Not like they'd notice the difference, but he could feel that he was off. "Oh," said the bearded man spoke up. "You must have heard us talking. Sorry, we're adventurers, and our guide went missing after she led us to a place that wasn't what we thought it'd be. It's been a rough couple of days." "You're telling me. I almost got robbed earlier, but the guy ran off," Rob responded without thinking. "Oh man, I'm sorry that happened. Glad it ended well though." "Yeah, I'm about ready to head home for the night." Rob, by the way. "I introduced myself. I never introduced myself. What the heck is going tonight?" Rob thought to himself. "Brady," said the bearded stranger. The group paid their bill and left, but it was too late. Rob knew he'd keep getting distracted if he didn't follow through with what he was thinking. They said it. They said her name. They talked about her personality. It was definitely her. They talked about the northern mountains. The service station had been good to him, but for a little while it would have to close for business because he knew what he was about to do about his mysterious new superpowered friend. "How things been going?" Annabella inquired. "It's been okay," Leo responded, projecting the words directly into the minds of everyone present. "Not gonna lie, you've been gone for a long time." Annabella looked over to Lance. "Is Samael super pissed at me?" Lance looked concerned. "Yeah, most of the mystical beings are not happy with you right now. I tried to contact Olga while I was helping this group across the lake earlier. He sent his pet after us." "Yeah, you were supposed to talk to him about the problems with Constant Corp." "I know. They're taking over." I was really hoping those guys would have fallen apart on their own. I gotta talk to Sammy. Do you want us? Wait, do you want us to come along with you? He's pretty pissed. We can run interference and help keep him calm." "Nah, I probably deserve the butt kicking he's gonna give me. Just do me a favor and get me over there." Lance nodded and made a little flicking motion vaguely in the direction in front of Annabella. A little spark flew out from a tiny contraption on his inner wrist. When it was in front of Annabella, it smashed against nothing with a splashing sound and rippled and widened into a golden plate the size of a doorway. A second later, the gold rippled away as well until it was just a rim, and inside you could see trees on the mountainside. "Hey, you might want to talk to Ed after you find Samael," Lance threw in, and as Annabella was walking toward the portal. Leo stood up. "Hey, you want me to keep you company?" "Ah, come on, you big lug," Annabella smiled. "I'll call you if I need you, Lancey Poo." Lance cringed. "Dear, you do know I despise those," he made a dismissive waving motion with his hands, "little nicknames of yours." "Course I do, honey. That's why I use them." She blew him a kiss and stepped through the portal. Lance cringed again, and Leo used his tentacles to simulate what looked like a shrug, then knelt down and crawled through the portal after Annabella. Lance sat down and snapped, and the portal closed, and the little golden spark fizzled out into a puff of smoke. On the other side of the portal, Annabella and Leo stood in a massive grove of trees. Leo's tentacles liked the forest. They would randomly encircle and feel the branches of the trees. Some of them noticed the higher branches felt different than the lower ones. A few of them liked the feeling of the leaves more than the feeling of the branches, but they all enjoyed the open air and the fact that the trees were bigger than Leo and seemed to grow and spread randomly. There was something deliciously familiar there, and they enjoyed the feeling of it. Prettier, isn't it?" Annabella asked Leo. The forest floor quaked and the trees reverberated. "Yes." Annabella laughed. "Don't lie. You're just excited to be outside where you can reverberate the trees to stand up and talk and to talk and stand straight up without knocking stuff over." Leo was used to hunching over, sitting, or kneeling to fit his body into places made for tiny humans. The Jupiterian wished more human domiciles were built like the department stores and warehouses. But even in those, he couldn't vibrate the ground to talk because he'd knock things over. The forest was really one of his favorite places to be. Well, that and Annabella's home. I could spend all my time in forest, Leo admitted. Let's find Sammy. Annabella started walking. They walked together in silence for a while after making their way up the mountain for some time. Leo spoke up. What kind of signs are we looking for if he's here? Well, I'm not really sure. What do you... I know we'd have to go towards the snow, but dragons don't exactly leave a lot of signs if they're around. I think we're going to have to just hope he comes to us. Oh, Leo took a jovial tone. Well, you're not going to get any complaints from me if we get lost. Annabella laughed and went and kept walking, but was stopped in her tracks when she was hit by a snowball from somewhere in the forest. She stopped and took an exasperated facial expression. Sam, I know you're here. As soon as she spoke, they both started getting pelted by hundreds of snowballs from every direction. Leo frantically ran and climbed a tree, the trunk of which sagged and creaked under his weight. Annabella just stood there and took her punishment, being buried up to the hips in snow and ice. Her hands and face turned red from being pelted by snow, but she took it. Eventually, it stopped and she spoke up. I deserved that, and I'm sorry. I never intended. Where the hell have you been? The entire forest shook, but this time it was different than when Leo spoke. Sound waves shook the leaves and made birds fly off from their nests. A giant gust of wind almost knocked Leo out from the tree. A second later, another gust finished the job. Another second later, another gust blew most of the snow off of Annabella, and another one blew her over. They looked up above the trees where the wind was coming from. A tail came into view, and then the giant wings. Finally, the great white dragon's body came into view. He flew down and landed, making even Leo look tiny by comparison. Sammy! Annabella screamed with a huge smile. Don't Sammy me! You've been gone forever! These idiots are screwing up the whole planet. And they're not even making it better for themselves. You were supposed to talk to them. Okay, I'm sorry, Annabella yelled. I never intended on being away that long. Well, I'm sorry. You're the only one who could talk to the humans. You think I wouldn't get in that boardroom if I could? If they wouldn't immediately mobilize their entire stupid military to come after me to see, I don't know, what my meat tastes like? Or some other equally stupid question they just have to find out? Annabella hung her head. I wish I didn't know that was true. She was about to say something else, but the dragon's tail reached out and swatted at her, knocking her into the forest, her entire body smashing through several trees before she came to a stop. Leo kind of reached out a hand after her, but stopped when he remembered her saying she'd take whatever the dragon dished out. She got up and dusted herself off and walked back to the dragon's side. You know, Annabella was interrupted by another swat. This time smashing her straight down into the ground. The dragon stood up and planted a foot on her abdomen and then leaned all his weight on her. Stuck in place, she was just forced to sit there while her friend breathed ice-cold breath in her face. She rolled her eyes and took this as well. I was gonna say some adventurers found me, had some legend about some queen with magic swords or some such madness. Huh, weird. What were you doing anyway, meditating again? Annabella tried in vain to adjust herself under the dragon's weight. She huffed, "Yes," in frustration. "Find anything worthwhile?" Samael accused, adding more weight and taking the breath out of Annabella. "Not really. Well, maybe." "Oh yeah, like what?" Well, it wasn't the meditation. I went on a little treasure hunt with the guys who found me, and they slip a few details that I might be able to use to bargain with. Annabella pushed her friend's foot off, and he moved to the side. "The banking sector is completely fragmented," she continued. "People are using all different currencies. Nobody really knows what to do. Even in towns a few miles apart. The crew I was with seemed like it was more of an inconvenience than a real surprise." "Huh," both Leo and Samael mused. "And that's not all. The quiet girl seemed to be under the impression she could make things better just by having some kind of magic powers. 'I'll make everything better, just watch,'" Annabella mimicked. "People don't say that unless there is a reasonable path through, just that the people in power haven't thought of yet. Chances are there's a solution as pretty obvious to pretty much everybody except the ones in charge. I'm betting getting some real changes made would be pretty easy." "Isn't that always the case?" Leo joked. "For real?" Samael and Annabella answered in unison. "Oh yeah, Sammy. One of the adventurers' name was Sam. I bet you'd get a huge freak-out reaction if you found them and jumped out at him." Annabella laughed. "Wait, I'm still mad at you," Samael said, taking another swat at Annabella, this time with his claw. This time it was blocked, and Annabella stood there, confident. "I'm sorry." She walked up and wrapped her hands around the dragon's neck in a warm embrace. "Ugh, I forgot how warm you are. How do you humans enjoy this feeling?" he complained, trying to get her off, but she wouldn't let go. "Isn't it just so nice, though? You're just so cuddly," Annabella joked as she tightened her embrace with a nice smile. "No, I'm not. I'm armored." Samael wriggled and scratched, trying to peel her off him. "Aren't you cold? Get off!" Annabella just smiled and took all the shaking and clawing. The dragon breathed hard into the air, causing tons of ice and snow to billow out over all of them. "Aw, you made us a nice blanket. I think I'll take a nap here." "No, you're not." "I'll let you go when you forgive me." "I'm sorry. I love you. Please." She looked at the dragon with puppy dog eyes. "Oh, fine. Just get rid of this horrible warm spot." Annabella let go. I'll never understand the draw of a hug beyond that of a torture tactic." "Ugh!" Samael complained as he straightened up. "Hey, by the way, you're going to want to talk to Edwin soon. I think he's got some ideas how to deal with this human problem. I would say you should talk to Volcarin, but normally he can't wait to screw at the humans' plans. But of course he's loving how this is all shaping up." "Yeah, that's V for you," responded Annabella. "Hey, Leo, good seeing you." Samael nodded to the Jupiterian. "Likewise," Leo vibrated. "Just had to climb a tree back there, didn't you?" Sam accused jokingly. "Hey," Leo joked sheepishly. "Who knows when you two get to sparring? You two can be pretty scary." "Ah, yes. And what does that name Andy gave you stand for again? The living embodiment of fear." Leo slinked back. "Uh-huh. Makes sense you getting scared easy. Really the only reasonable explanation. Except maybe you just wanted to climb a tree and were looking for any excuse." The dragon jabbed with a snicker. Leo laughed. "I suppose it could be that second one." Annabella laughed along with her two friends and then spoke up. "I guess we better get out of here." "Leaving already?" Samael asked. "I should probably find Eddie. Everybody's mad at me for being away so long. I probably shouldn't keep him waiting any longer," Annabella responded, confused. Edwin will keep for another night. Stay here in the forest for tonight. At least it'll at least make your friend happy." Leo's tentacles waved in excitement. Leo stood there with his arms folded, trying to look calm. I could take it either way, he lied. But if we stay here, I could call up Lance and get him to bring out some Kefler. At this, Annabella brightened up. Okay, better have him make a big batch. I could murder some Kefler right now. Aha, I knew that'd get you. Almost nobody knows how to make it anymore, but I'm sure he has the recipe. I'll help him make it and be back in no time. Oh, y'all are so cute. Just at that moment, Lance popped his head through a portal next to Leo. Someone talking about me? Geffler, want to make some? Leo asked. Ooh, yes, responded the Venusian, his eyes lighting up. It's been decades since I've had that particular confection. Awesome. No, wait. Awesome. Annie, we'll be back in a while, trumpeted Leo, nearly causing an earthquake on the mountain with his excited vibrations. Lance's head disappeared back into the portal as it widened to accommodate the large Jupiterian. Leo stepped through the portal and the portal closed. Yeah, I know, right? Kefler, yes, please. I mean, it can be a real food. Samael lay relaxing in the giant pile of snow he made while he was trying to pry Annabella loose of her hug. Annabella sat leaned against a tree stump by his nose to talk to him. Okay, so I've been avoiding asking this up until now because we've been kind of busy. Annabella spoke up, but I gotta know now. How long have I been gone? The enormous dragon mused, turning his head to think. Well, I'm not really sure. I stay pretty busy. I couldn't tell you precisely, but I would say you've been an urban legend for a few generations. Oh, jeez. Wait. Have I been gone that long? Something like that. The dragon waved off. Annabella moved to sit on the ground next to her friend. Man, no wonder you were ticked. I would be too. Wow, what the heck has been going on? I haven't even been to any of the big cities yet. Judging from what everybody keeps telling me, it must be hell on wheels. Annabella asked. Well, I don't venture into cities. I'd obviously stand out. Samael rested his head on his hands. But Volkrin has been, and he says it's a nightmare. The dragon revealed. It's gotta be bad if he's talking like that. Annabella spoke up. Yeah, the dragon relaxed more. At this rate, the people are going. At the rate these people are going, there won't be any humans left for Volkrin to laugh at. Annabella, exasperated, responded. But seriously though, you guys have had such a long time. Why is everyone waiting for me to step in? It's not like other humans couldn't step up and talk to these guys. Heck, a lot of them already believe you guys exist. All you gotta do is show your... We're not gonna do that, and you know why. Take your place in the order of things. Sammy, please, don't start with that order of things speech. I've heard it literally more than 1,000 times. Annabella walked over to Samael and plopped down, leaning on his foot. Can't we just ignore the order of things for a little while and just, I don't know, have some fun for a while? Play around for a couple dozen years and let the humans figure out things for themselves for once? Samael moved his foot away from her and with a look of clear discomfort. No, we both have jobs to do. Come on, I love you, but you also know you got to do your part. If you're so wise, then you know why I don't want to step in saving everyone without a rock-solid alibi. The dragon looked uncomfortable. You know why, Samael. Annabella moved closer to the dragon's foot. They're never happy. I have to let them think they're the ones who came up with it. Also, I definitely heard you say you love me. You can't take it back now. Samael took on a pained expression. Annabella smiled. Yep, you love me. You love me, and there's nothing you can do about it. She laid on Samael's foot. At first he pulled back, but then relaxed, and the two sat together, staring into the forest. After a few minutes, another portal opened, and Leo stepped through, holding a large, ornate silver platter. Dinner is served. The ground and trees vibrated, sending sound waves in all directions. Leo reached one of his tentacles forward and removed a tray cover. The cover being removed liberated a plume of steam to display a beautifully arranged collection of pastries. Annabella was already drooling the moment he stepped through the portal, and could hardly be held back from attacking the Jupiterian once the plume of smoke dissipated. They all enjoyed the kefir, one of which was made extra large to accommodate the dragon's extra large bite. Despite despite being obviously made for him, Samael had to fight Annabella off from eating it before he could sink his fangs into it. I've missed this. The doughy layers, the creamy little surprises every few bites, the sweetness on top, just bringing everything together. I could just melt. Yay. Annabella looked absolutely satisfied for a few moments. Then she got really deadly serious and sad. There's basically nobody, she said, looking at Leo with a somber expression, who can make this recipe anymore. Leo lit up. Well, let's reintroduce it. It'll be easy. Annabella smiled. You know, Leo, for the living embodiment of fear, you're pretty doggone cuddly. You're the one who gave me that name. I like Leo, but it'd be fine if that was my full name instead of being short for something scary. I think you, for anyone, knows my true nature. Yeah, for sure. And remind me, what was that thingy called that you saved me from when I first arrived on Jupiter? Annabella accused. The Flash Beetle? That's not really a fair comparison. They're horrible and murderous. They would go after anybody. Okay, argument withdrawn. Cute. Yeah, the recipe is basically there for Kefler. Kefler. With a Q. It's not Kefler with a K. Kefler. Kefler with a Q. See, you're just a big cuddle bug. Speaking of cuddle bugs, Samael spoke up, you're gonna want to get some sleep soon. You're gonna have to find Edwin tomorrow. Wait, that's your segue? Annabella responded. You do realize Edwin is the one who taught me how to fight dragons. He's anything but cuddly. Yeah. And remind me, who was that also taught you that ridiculous neck hug that you know we all love so much? It was Edwin. Oh yeah, sorry. That he loves and the rest of us find strange and uncomfortable. Okay, yes, he loves hugs and the rest of you are weird about them. But don't act like you don't secretly love him too. You just don't know how to take him. Annabella moved back to sit with her back leaning against the crook of Samael's arm. The dragon was resting but still complained. Silly human. You're too warm. He laid down and Leo kept watch over them throughout the night. I just love that scene. You're too warm. As the sun rose, Leo, sitting high up in a tree, heard the distinct sound of footsteps crackling in leaves and the breaking of fallen twigs and branches. It wasn't impossible for a human to have found where they were, but it was fairly rare that anyone would venture into this particular part of the mountain. He climbed down to investigate and found a figure walking toward their location. Leo climbed partially back up into the tree to wait for the figure to approach. The mountains were colder than he had expected. He knew to look out for anything out of the ordinary. Whoever these people were, they didn't do anything normal. He'd seen it. The house was a castle. It was absolutely enormous. Even in the one single room he had seen, illumination by somber firelight didn't bounce off a wall or ceiling for far longer than he expected. His voice echoed deeper than any house he had ever visited. And then there was that creature. It was the most frightening thing he had ever laid eyes on, and yet it seemed strangely friendly. Yay. Yeah, Edwin. Yeah. And then there was her. She was quite simply the most impressive thing he had ever seen. He knew if he didn't find her today, he'd just keep searching until the day he died. He could search his entire life and it would not be a wasted life. He knew she had something to teach. He had been too overcome with thoughts the first time he saw her, too flabbergasted to keep himself together. The man who had been so professional in all the business meetings, the man who oversaw his employees with care and understanding, the same man was a blubbering mess when she came around. He had to find her and make a better impression. He was so glad those three people came into his shop. He could still hear them as plain as day. They said it. They had said her name. Not only had she been with them, but she had saved the life of the biggest and strongest among them. It had to be who he was looking for. And she wasn't far. It hadn't taken much more than a few hours to get to the northern mountains. He had followed his gut to the snowiest of the mountains. He didn't know why. He couldn't point to a single reason why this mountain should be the one that he should search. It would take hours to search even one side of the mountain by foot, and there's no guarantee he doesn't just pass by just barely out of his visual range and miss them completely. Regardless of all these facts, his gut told him that this was the place to be. His gut had rarely led him wrong. He had been wrong plenty of times, but in those times he had usually ignored what his gut was saying. This was not one of those times. Today his gut was loud and clear. This was the mountain he was meant to search. It was not long before his hunch paid off in dividends. The mountain shook. It wasn't an earthquake. This was too centralized in one place. It wasn't a volcano or a large animal or a meteor strike. It was like the mountain was talking. He had heard this before in the castle when she had introduced her friend. What was it she said? He vibrates the ground and the area around him to speak. As he made his way up toward the source of the vibration, he saw something that only solidified his belief that the person for whom he was searching was drawing within his reach. A giant plume of snow and ice was rising directly out of the forest. He saw it. It was right around the same direction he had heard. He had heard the talking vibrations. His gut told him that this was exactly strange enough. It would take him some time to get that far up the mountain, but nothing would stop him now. He walked and walked. He crossed damp grass, icy hillsides, and fallen trees. In the darkness, he waded through mud and braved shadows. A few other times on his trip, he could have sworn he felt more vibrations. It became quiet for quite some time. No talking vibrations, no plumes of snow and ice. Briefly, for just a second, he thought he might have smelled a bakery. Who would or even could be baking out here in the middle of nowhere? It didn't make sense. But in his mind's twisted faculties, it did. He trudged on, feeling his way through the darkness, ignoring numbness in his fingertips. All night he walked and climbed until he could practically hear his own heartbeat. It had been silent all night, but this was different. Every nerve in his every nerve was sending alarm signals. Something had seen him. Something was still seeing him. He put his head down and kept walking. However, whatever it was closing in on him. He looked up and around, but the early morning sun had not risen enough. The twisted, writhing branches were still nightmarish figures seemingly reaching out to grab him. He had to psych himself out of the feeling that he was being stalked. He tried to focus and keep moving. Just at the moment that he decided his mind was playing tricks on him, he felt a familiar feeling. Something had wrapped around his neck. He began to panic, but had no time to process before another of the familiar feeling things had wrapped itself around his waist and lifted him off the ground. They turned him around, and he was met with a pair of deeply glowing eyes. The word appeared directly in his mind. Rob! Leo watched the figure walking through the forest, seemingly making a beeline toward Annabella and Samael. He had to stop whoever this was. Samael certainly did not like being bothered by humans, and Annabella did not like normal people knowing that she was friends with a literal ice-breathing dragon. Leo knew he had to step in. He got a little closer, so close he could practically reach out and touch the figure. This was someone Leo knew. No, it was more than that. This was someone recent. He knew who it was. What he didn't know was how and why. Leo got close enough that if he had had a nose, he'd have been close enough to smell him. One of Leo's tentacles encircled the visitor's neck, and then another wrapped around the man's waist. If there was any part of him that wasn't sure who this was, it was sure now. He turned the character to look him face to face and projected a name directly into the man's brain. Rob? Leo. Leo? Rob exclaimed. Leo loosened his grip slightly. What are you doing here? I found out where you guys were going, so I followed you. I don't know what you guys got going on, but it seems big. Just tell me who you are. At that moment, yay, Rob is back. Yeah. At that moment, Annabella opened her eyes. She felt Leo's vibrations and realized he must be talking to someone. She stood up. Rob looked into the forest in every direction and saw nothing but trees. He looked back to where he expected to see Leo, but he was staring eye to eye at Annabella. He was no longer in Leo's tentacles, but he was still being held up several feet in the air by some force he couldn't see. He couldn't see what was holding her up either. It may have been a mistake to come out here and follow these people, Rob thought to himself. Annabella's usually bright and chipper expression was replaced by a scowl. Rob quaked with the realization that he'd never considered her powers being turned on him. Okay, for the love of everything good in the world, let me get out of this alive. She looked at him. Her glowing white hair flowed in almost intangible wind, her eyes burning a hole through his soul. Whatever fear he had facing Leo was instantly dwarfed by her face. This girl could probably crush my bones in the sand without a second thought. What was I thinking coming out here? Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Her scowl softened, however, the moment she saw who she was looking at. Rob? She said incredulously as her hair turned to his natural tight brown curls. What are you doing here? Okay, she probably has some sort of lie detecting powers. I'm not taking any chances. Rob theorized to himself before speaking up. I'm sorry, some people came into the store talking about a magic girl who saved their lives. It took them on an adventure who was coming to this mountain range. I thought it sounded like you, so I took the chance and followed you. Annabella's hair began to glow again, and the force holding Rob up tightened around his body. This is a big mountain range. How did you know we'd be on this mountain? I guessed, I promise. Rob wheezed. This was the snowiest mountain, and the whole ground started to quake like your house did when the alien guy was talking. Annabella glared at Leo for talking so much as to get them followed. But Rob continued. And then there was that huge plume of snow. I just kind of went toward that direction all night until I got here. She stopped glaring when he said that, since the plume of snow he was talking about was probably from Samael trying to be released from her hug. Her hair went back to its normal state. Her and Rob floated down, and she released him. Okay, said Annabella, but surprising us like that is a good way to get yourself killed. We've been followed before, and not always by people who just thought we were cool. Rob sank his head. Annabella turned around and started walking back toward where she woke up. Anyway, since you're here, it's probably better if you just stick around. Well, Rob sprang up looking worried. I could probably just go. I don't know. It's cold and... Oh, nonsense. You came out all this way. Might as well hang out a bit. Annabella dismissed as she motioned to Leo and kept walking. Yeah, that's really okay. You guys are probably busy and all, Rob stuttered. Don't worry about it. If you get in the way, we'll just push you aside, or I'll just disintegrate you. Annabella chuckled. Her cavalier tone made Rob quake in his boots, but she pushed on. Nah, come on, you big pansy. What do you want to live forever? It's not all it's choked up to be. Rob reluctantly nodded and started walking in the direction back towards where Annabella and Samael had been sleeping. Rob wondered how fast Annabella must have been moving to get him out of Leo's tentacles earlier, because he most certainly hadn't seen her coming, and they had been walking for a while. Just be glad Leo's the one who found you, Annabella continued, while the three of them walked. If Sammy had woken up before I did, you'd be lizard food by now. Annabella chuckled. Rob laughed nervously and wondered seriously if he should just turn and run. How far are we going? I didn't really think through what I'd do if I found you, and I'm getting cold. Oh, quit complaining. You wanted to find us, you found us. He does love Rob. Yeah. Oh, quit complaining. You wanted to find us, you found us. Now you're gonna have to hang out with us until we're ready for you to leave. They walked even more and entered a clearing, but there was nothing there. Annabella looked around, then looked at Rob with a mischievous smirk. Rob looked around before he could realize what was happening. He was completely buried under a mound of ice and snow. Yet again, there was an eruption of laughter in every direction. Rob felt himself being pulled out of the mound by the same mysterious force that was holding him in the air earlier. As he was pulled out and placed on the side of the mound, he saw the source of the ice and snow. A gigantic white dragon stood before him, laughing with his enormous claw over his mouth. He dusted off what he could of the snow that was on his exterior and spoke up. Ha ha ha, funny stuff. I just said I was cold a few minutes ago. Oh, hush, you big crybaby. You big crybaby. Sam's just goofing around. Annabella chuckled and pointed two fingers at Rob. I got snow in places you wouldn't even want to know about. Rob stood and kept dusting himself off as he felt warmth that seemed to come from nowhere, heating him up and drying him off. Good morning, friend. The pressure waves from the dragon's speech were enough to knock Rob back into the snow mound. He stood back up, and Annabella pointed her two fingers at him again. Okay, buddy, come on over here before he apologizes and your lungs collapse. Rob stumbled over to Annabella, who caught him with a smile. That's it. Yeah, that's my buddy Samael. He's a winter dragon, Annabella admitted. Samael looked at her and she corrected herself. Oh, yeah, he's the winter dragon. There used to be more, but... Humans, Samael finished. Sorry, Rob flustered, leaning on Annabella for support. You all right there, pal? You look like you just kissed your sister. I don't know, Rob swooned. It's kind of a lot to take in. I kind of need to sit down. Annabella winked at Samael, who stretched his foot out just behind Rob. Annabella guided him to sit on the dragon's foot. Thank you, said Rob, more relaxed. This is all just kind of crazy. I thought I would see you doing some cool magic stuff. Didn't really think I'd get to meet a dragon and all the rest of this stuff. Portals, portal guys, aliens. Man, my head is spinning. Yeah, I bet you never thought you'd end up sitting on a dragon, did you? Annabella hinted. Rob looked up at Annabella confused. He saw she was smirking again. Oh, sh! He tripped over himself, trying to get off the dragon's foot. How is he that cold? I thought I was sitting on a block of ice, Rob exclaimed. I think the question is, how are you humans so unbelievably warm? There's no way that could be that could be comfortable. Do you just bathe in lava or Samael responded. Okay, yeah, I guess I get you. What am I doing talking to a dragon like it's just nothing? Robs nearly stumbled again, but caught his footing, being careful not to support himself on the dragon's foot again. He stood there shaking his head. Annabella slapped him hard on the back, knocking him off balance. Hey, you asked for it, following us. You're here now. You're in the middle of it. Might as well get used to it. Hey, I was heading to meet another pal of mine. You down to come with us? You're down to come with us, right? Of course you are. You'd probably just follow us wherever we're going anyway, right? She never gave him a chance to answer or even think of a response. He just stood there, dumbfounded. Annabella gave him a super cute look and a playful slap. Okie doke. Lancey Poo, could you help me find our big brown buddy? Annabella danced while she spoke. The nicknames again. I have just the one request, madam. Lance appeared simply out of nowhere, causing Rob to nearly jump out of his skin again. But Sir Lancelot, how will you know I'm talking to you if I don't give you a cutesy nickname? I just don't see a way around it, Lancey Bear. Lance rolled his eyes and made some adjustments on his watch. As he did so, a portal appeared before his eyes. The other side of the portal was visible, and with every adjustment, the picture in the doorway changed. Most of the images were of wooded areas and rainforests. There was nothing in any of the images that suggested anything as massive as a giant dragon might be nearby. Nevertheless, Lance stopped. Nevertheless, after a chain of nearly identical images, Lance stopped on one, stared closely at it, and announced, "This is it." Huh? Huh? Rob protested. I found our friend. There's nothing on that screen. How do you know that's the place? Rob asked, still a bit woozy, but standing up and taking a few steps away from Lance. You sound absolutely confident that this is the place, but it looks just like the last 20 pictures you looked at. What are you even looking for? Ah, yes. The Earth Dragon is quite obvious if you know what you look for. You see, ah, he leaves a quite easily traceable path. He was gonna finish, but Rob saw Rob attempting to run away. Lance looked at Annabella, and she nodded in Rob's direction. Lance pointed his watch at Rob, and a portal appeared right in front of him. Rob, of course, ran right through it, and the other end of the portal was right next to Samael, who had been sitting and watching the entire time. Rob ran face first into the dragon's shoulder. He was confused and shocked by the sudden slap of cold on his chin. Oh, how did it get back in front of you? Rob exclaimed. There's not really a point running. I can outrun you in my sleep, and Lance here can make it where you never even make it out of our sight. Rob turned and ran in the opposite direction, straight through a portal over next to Samael's tail, over which he immediately stumbled. Come on, bud. You came out all this way. Might as well relax. I changed my mind. I'm sorry. This is all too crazy. I don't know what I was doing, and now I think one of your friends is going to eat me. Rob begged. Nobody's going to eat you, Annabella proclaimed. I might. Samael boomed, prompting Rob to panic again. He got up and ran, this time straight between Annabella and Lance, pushing Lance out of the way. Rude, Lance complained. Annabella was laughing the entire time and watching Rob freak out. Let's put the poor guy out of his misery and show him something that's actually cool. Annabella turned to Samael. Hey, Sammy, you mind giving the poor kid a ride? You see, Sammy, short, efficient, like my name, Lance. It's one syllable. Is that so hard? Lance griped. Both Annabella and Samael ignored Lance's protests. Only if you go with him. I don't feel like catching a flailing human. Sam negotiated. Sure, you'll have 2 warm spots on your back, Annabella teased. Don't remind me, Samael chided as he took off. Lance pointed the watch at Rob again, and this time the portal appeared on the ground in front of him. Rob fell through the portal and was instantly 500 feet up, falling through the air and screaming. It was only a second before Samael caught him, and Annabella was holding him to calm him down. I got you, buddy, Annabella said in her most comforting tone. Rob was still panicking and was now screaming. Samael rolled his eyes and climbed higher into the air. Hey, look there. You can see the whole world. She tried to console her captive comrade. You're going to kill me. I know it. I just know it, Samael screamed. I liked it better when you were a crazy fanboy, Annabella complained. Will you just look around? Nobody's trying to hurt you. The words finally got through to Rob. These people seemed to have an absolutely ridiculous amount of power at their disposal. If they wanted to kill me, they'd probably do it without dragging me all the way up in the air to do it. With that thought, Rob began to calm down. He looked around and slowly went from looking around to marveling. He finally realized how cool it was to be in the situation where he found himself. Holy, wow, man, this is an amazing view. Samael flew gracefully through the skies for some time before anyone spoke again. So, you ready to meet Edwin? Annabella asked. Do I really have a choice? Rob asked sarcastically. Not now. She smiled and reached down to pat the dragon on the neck. Then looked at Rob. Better hold on, sweet thing. With that, Samael started to dive. Rob held on for dear life, and Annabella squealed with joy. Sam slowly leveled out and finally landed. And as Rob jumped down and kissed the ground, Annabella talked to Lance. So he hasn't moved around too much since we left, has he? No, not much. I suspect he knows you're coming. I think he can sense the trace that Venusian technology leaves behind. Be ready for anything, Lance responded. Annabella walked back over to Rob, who was busy inspecting the armor of the white dragon. How do you feel warmth through these thick scales? I would think you wouldn't be able to feel anything at all. Samael was just rolling his eyes, laying there relaxing. Hey, Screams McGee, you ready to go? Annabella teased. Rob tensed up slightly, but then tried to look more relaxed. Yep, let's just go. Relax, buddy. Nothing's gonna happen to you. Uh-huh. Famous last words. Annabella, Leo, and Rob made their way toward the portal. They each stepped through. On the other side of the portal, they were met with a beautiful and lively rainforest. The dark, cold, thin nature of the mountain was replaced with dense, humid, and balmy forest floor. Immediately upon stepping through, their ankles were encircled by thick, heavy branches. Oh, snap! Did we step through at the wrong place? Rob questioned, trying to give the place a chance. No, this is the right place. I'd like to introduce you to Edwin. So, Edwin is the branches? Squeaked Rob, still trying to remain cool. No, what? Edwin is a elder forest dragon. All the while as they were talking, the thick branches were working their way up the bodies of the 3 forest visitors. Rob, still trying not to panic, asked, Okay, what's with the forest trying to eat us? Oh, Edwin just has a flair for the dramatic. So, Rob swallowed hard, you're telling me not only this is a great and mighty dragon who could probably crush me under one of his fingers, but he also has the power to literally control nature itself? Annabella rolled her eyes. Mostly it's just the plants and trees and stuff. Hey! A voice resounded deeply from the trees themselves. Rob had heard Leo, who vibrated the environment around him in order to talk. He'd heard Samael, who spoke with such power that it knocked the breath out of Rob every time he spoke. But he never heard something like this. It was like the entire forest was talking to him in one unified voice. Rob was looking for a dragon. He was looking for something to make sense, but in every place he looked, there was just more forest, and it seemed to be closing in on him. Oh, come on, you're scaring him. Sammy already messed with him too. Already messed with him. Leo too. You're no fun, the forest answered, continuing to close in. Be nice, she insisted. Oh, all right, sounding disappointed, the voice. Who are you? Interjected Rob, looking in Annabella's direction. Huh? Me? Nobody. Why? Why does everybody listen to you? Oh, please, try to get these guys to listen. As the last of the branches receded back into the ground, Rob saw an enormous brown dragon sitting right in front of him. The dragon was so incredibly colossal that Rob's brain decided that it was just simply impossible, he hadn't seen it before, and that he must just have a dragon-sized blind spot right in front of him. Hey, I do listen to him. I do listen to you. This time when the dragon spoke, the sound came from his mouth instead of the entire forest. And by the way, I also control the soil and the stone. What? Rob said. Oh, yeah, said Annabella. Oh, yeah? Yeah, I forgot. Any other major powers you forgot to mention? Yeah, well, there's his breath power, but that's not really anything. Rob rubbed his forehead between his thumb and forefinger. What is it? The breath power? Yes, the breath power. Of course, the breath power. Well, he can... The master started before she was interrupted. There was an earthquake all around him. Rob jumped over to hide next to a tree and covered his ears from the sound with his hands. While he was cowering, he looked up and saw Edwin's jaw wide open in an enormous roar, causing the quake. Afterward, he stopped and smiled at Rob, who turned and glared at Annabella. Annabella looked at Rob. What? Why does he listen to you? Rob exclaimed. Oh, she's much more powerful than me, Edwin admitted to the gang. What? Rob balked. Honestly, she saved the dragon, the life of she saved each of us dragons at least once, Edwin proclaimed. I owe her my life. V pretends to have an attitude around her, but he loves her like a sister. He'd do anything for her. And that's saying a lot for a human. He despises humans. Rob stood. V? Who is V? Vulcarin. He's a shining, beautiful black dragon. He watches over the microbiology of the planet, Annabella continued. Anyway, me and Edwin need to talk a little business. You and Leo can go juggle tree trunks or something for a while. Rob obliged and walked away with Leo. Where is it? The bad thing is, the great-grandson of the guy who used to run the company is running it now. And he's a jerk and a douchebag, the dragon said. And worse than that, they've gone unchecked so long they're practically poised to take over the world. Why do these guys always want that? Annabella recoiled. It gets worse, Edwin continued. Annabella groaned. They've got contacts in the military as well. Like most of the militaries of the world, depend on them for all kinds of equipment. It really runs deep. Annabella squatted down and rubbed her forehead. You know what this means, don't you? I'm gonna have to kill people. I know. I don't really see another way around it. Annabella looked over at Rob, who eyed some plants alongside Leo. Leo's tentacles curled around Rob's shoulders and under his chin. Rob mused to Leo. You're really not that scary, are you? Leo just kept looking at other plants. Annabella looked at him and turned back to Edwin. I think I know a way out of it, at least for me. You're not going to like this any better if someone else does it, Edwin responded. I won't be the one who has to deal with it. He's not going to be around long enough for it to matter. It'll matter to him, the dragon said. He's gonna live like 20 seconds, she answered. To him, that's a lifetime. Please trust me. You are the one who has to deal with this, Edwin warned. Don't you ever get tired of it? Annabella complained. You've known me for a long time. You've seen me do the job. We've worked together more times than I can count. And in the midst of that, have the people changed even a little bit? That's not the point, Annabella. The truth carried in the dragon's somber voice. It pulsated in Annabella's chest like rolling thunder. They're not the ones who have to change. We are. Well, in any case, she conceded, he's going to be sticking around for a while, so we need to figure out how to talk to him about it. Even if he's not the one who has to do the dirty work, it's going to crush him if he's around when I do it. Why are you keeping this one around anyway? He doesn't seem particularly strong or smart or interesting. He's quite... Edwin looked at Rob, who picked a flower and smelled it. Average. Yay. I don't know. I think that's what I like about him. Annabella looked at the same scene with contentment. He's normal. Not a spectacular thing about him. He's boring, and boring is what I need right now. Edwin contorted his face into a grimace, but then accepted what he just heard. Well, you can't just drop him off somewhere and leave him now. Showing our world to him is a major risk, and you know that. An average human could build it, and an average human could bring their whole world crashing down on us. He's seen us. He could tell someone. He's seen... Wait, have you introduced him to Serana? No, not yet. Annabella was interrupted by the dragon's booming voice, shaking the entire forest. Not yet! You know what she does to people. You have to keep her away from him. You remember what happened last time, do you not? And we're just barely getting over it. You can't introduce her to him. The dragon urged. Okay, I forgot about that for a while. Shoot me. Annabella shrugged. I will if it'll get you to promise to never bring her around him. We can't. You know Cupid's curse is no joke. It can be difficult to explain how hard it is to render a dragon speechless. Especially a dragon like Edwin, who has been around so long and seen so much that he has a story and a long-winded life lesson ready for every situation. But in this case... Just seriously, you can't, he sputtered. All right, I won't go looking for her. Yeah, we don't want another case like last time. I can't promise she won't find us though. I'll help him out as much as I can though. We have to at least see what he's like first. Where the heck is V these days, by the way? The Earth Dragon was still shaking off the feeling of being flustered. He shook his enormous head and took a few steps, uprooting a large tree in the process. He found a spot and rolled over onto his side, and then his back, tucking his gigantic wings under his body. Annabella jumped up and sat on his belly, cross-legged. Okay, what were you asking again? He looked at the master sitting on his belly. Where's Volkerin? Annabella ignored the dragon, reaching down and playing with her like a doll. Oh. He pulled at her limbs, picking her up in the air and puppeting her into a silly dance. I don't know. I haven't seen her since the last time we were all together. We dragons aren't as social as you humans. We all like you, though, he said with a smile, while he transitioned her from sitting to standing and back. Annabella, just going along with the game, didn't notice that Rob and Leo had returned and were gazing at her being played with like a little child's plaything. Holy mackerel! Why are you letting him do that? Rob exclaimed. Annabella, surprised, looked over at him. Oh, hey! The dragon turned on his side toward Rob and Leo and hovered Annabella over their heads, dangling her like a rag doll. You want her back? Edwin offered, lowering her down to almost within Rob's reach. He reached up to grab her ankle a few times. Every time, the dragon pulled her up at the last second. Leo just sat down and rolled his glowing eyes. He was used to their playing and just dug a hole in the forest floor with his hands. Some of his hair tentacles swatted at the upper branches of one small tree, and some others felt along the roots of another one. You gonna save me or what? Annabella half chuckled, still ragdolling. Rob realized that they were playing with him again and stood there, refused to play along. Annabella's ankles dangled lower and lower in front of him until he finally grasped onto her thighs and held on tight. Uh-oh, he thought to himself as his feet left the ground. Hey, okay, yep, I get it. You can put me down now, as he yelled as the dragon was spinning him and Annabella around and waving them all around. Annabella was just laughing. Getting a good view there? She asked, looking down at Rob, holding tightly onto her thighs. Leo and Edwin both looked at the position of the man holding on for dear life and both started to laugh. Rob looked at the zipper right in front of his eyes and immediately turned beet red, realizing where his face was when he grabbed her thighs. Take a girl to dinner first, she laughed out loud, ignoring being whipped around at high speed. Rob went to hold out his hands to say, no, it's not like that. But in doing so, he let go of his grip and went flying. Leo looked up at Annabella in preparation to jump up and catch their new friend, but she waved him off. Rob flew through the air, questioning everything in his life that led him up to this point. Suddenly, he felt himself sliding against nothing. He slid in a loop to the ground safely. As he gained his bearings, he briefly saw Annabella standing on the dragon's stomach, holding up both hands in his direction while laughing. He realized as he was walking towards them that everyone else was laughing as well. Okay, I'll admit that was kind of funny, he said as he got back to the party. Just funny? Annabella turned to look at him accusingly. Okay, it was fun too, he admitted. Wanna go again? Edwin spoke up. No, no, I'm fine, thanks. Rob nervously chuckled. But, what are we doing? Is there a plan of some sort? It seems like we're mostly just playing around. What, do you got a hot date? We're in the thick of it right now, Annabella responded. Oh, I just, nothing, I guess. You guys just keep having fun, I suppose. Rob tried to dismiss. No, you got something to say. What is it? Annabella accused. Leo and Edwin took notice as well. Well, it's just... Rob stammered, nervous that three very superpowered entities were intently staring at him. I guess I thought, Go on, Leo encouraged. I think I just thought you guys would be doing something, like stopping crime or something. I don't know. It just seems like we're not really getting anything accomplished, and we've just been kind of hanging out. Stopping crime, huh? Annabella said as she shared a look with Edwin. Yeah, well, you're like a superhero or something. I thought you'd be busy taking down crime bosses or something. This is kind of crazy. You guys are just talking. Rob continued. Annabella nodded to Edwin, and he lowered his hand to the ground next to Rob. Just talking, huh? She accused, suddenly looking far more serious. What would you rather be doing exactly? Rob backed up a step. I mean, stopping crimes, like when you and I met. I was in the middle of getting robbed. I can't imagine what would have happened if you weren't there. But that guy is probably out there robbing somebody else. Or like someone is. Can't you stop them? We don't usually do stuff like that, she answered. She pointed at Leo. Leo over here causes people to have nightmares at the very sight of him. She pointed at Edwin. The dragons would probably get hunted down by humankind just for showing their faces. And Lance would probably be taken into some lab and studied, along with all his cool equipment if people knew who he was. Lance popped his head out of nowhere. You guys say something about me? I was just making a point. Annabella dismissed her friend. He nodded and disappeared back into nothing. But you could still... I could still what? Kill that guy so he doesn't try to hurt anybody else? Stop all the crime in the world? Solve all of humanity's problem? You want to end crime? Why aren't you a cop or something? Or a politician? Annabella jabbed. Sorry, I just thought with the powers, things would be better if I had those kind of powers. And Rob offered. Annabella looked at her friends, then back at Rob. Wait, what's that you're saying? Oh, no, nothing. I don't know, just nothing. Rob tried to back down further. no. You said something. If you had my powers, you'd go solve crimes on your own? She looked at Leo. This could be fun. Rob backed away further and held up his hands. No, 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 no. I wasn't saying that. I meant you should. Oh, it's too late now. You got a job to do. Think of all the poor convenience store attendants with guns in their faces, scared for their lives. You could really help them, Annabella said. No, wait, hang on. He tried to protest. Don't let them down now. Think of the poor families. You don't want them to be without their mother or father, right? But I don't have any powers. Oh, don't worry about that. You'll be fine. Hey, you wanted to help, right? This is your chance. Hey, let's find something for you to do. Lance? Lance popped his head out of nowhere again. Yes, Annabella? Our friend here wants to help mankind. He says the best way to do so is to solve some petty crimes and stop them. Or so find some petty crimes and stop them. You think you could find some gun-toting criminal about to do something terrible and send Mr. Robbie Poo over here to stop them? Annabella said with fake innocence. Of course, there's always someone trying to accomplish some terrible thing. Best of luck to you, Rob. He disappeared behind the portal before Rob could protest further. All right, buddy, you got your wish. We're going to solve some crimes. Excited? Annabella poked. I didn't mean... Rob stammered, trying to think of something to get himself out of this. Found it. There's 2 men and a woman planning the robbery of a store in their hometown, Lance said, appearing beside Rob, who practically jumped out of his skin. Geez, that was fast. How'd you... As I said, sir, Lance began, there's always someone planning some terrible thing. You have about 2 minutes before they enter the establishment. They seem intent on committing a murder along with their robbery. How can you tell? Wait, murder? We can't start with... Rob exclaimed. Here's your big chance. Annabella walked over to him. All right, here's how this is going to go down. You're gonna portal right into that store, and you'll be in there when they walk in. You just kind of hover near the register and wait till they pull out their weapons. Then you can fight them off, okay? A portal opened while she was talking. Then, when she pushed him toward it, the small of his back glimmered a pale blue where her fingers touched. Wait, I just fight them? How do I... They have weapons. I don't know what I can do about... I don't have any powers or... I'm gonna get shot! Rob finally finished a thought. Annabella turned him around and straightened his clothes while she talked. You're gonna be fine. I gave you a shield when I touched you just now. If they shoot you, it'll feel like a professional boxer punched you as hard as they can, but you'll live. I'd still recommend you try to avoid it, though. That shield is offensive, too. So whatever you hit, it'll feel like they got hit by a truck. So remember, the best defense is a good offense. Anyway, good. Okay, that's your training. Go, fight. They're about to go into the store. Have fun. Rob hadn't noticed that she had continued to push him toward the portal while they were talking, and at the last second she'd pushed him in. As he looked around and noticed there was no longer a forest, he was no longer in a forest, but in a small store. He looked toward where he came from, and Annabella was waving as the portal immediately closed. A few seconds later, the door to the store opened and 3 people came in, dressed rough and smelling like they hadn't showered in days. He realized that he probably didn't smell any better. He found a honey bun, brought it to the counter, and paid. The employee looked uninterested, and Rob wondered in the back of his mind if that's what he looked like in his own store. He was about to try to warn the clerk that the store was going to be robbed, but it was too late. He heard a click, and suddenly there was a pistol pressed against the back of his head. He held his hands up and froze. He was trying to think of what to say or do when a tiny window opened, and he saw Annabella's face. Fight! Go on! This is your chance! What? They have guns! And can't you just... What? Demanded the voice behind him, the pistol pressed harder against his head. Oh, hey, by the way, they can't see me unless I actually come through the portal. I'm using the shield that I gave you to talk to you, but it kind of looks like you're a crazy person talking to yourself, Annabella informed Rob. What am I supposed to do here? Rob exclaimed. Hey, shut up and get down, demanded the voice. Rob turned around and looked at the robber's covered face. The criminal raised his hand with the pistol to strike Rob over the head with it. Rob cowered, but when the pistol swung down and hit his head, it bounced off and jumped out of the robber's hand. Ow! What the? The criminal reached down to pick up the pistol, and Rob saw that the man was bent down at his feet. He was unsure whether to try to kick him or try to punch down at him. He went for a kick and ended up just kind of nudging him. The robber just looked at him and picked up the pistol. He was about to point it at Rob, but Rob panicked and swung a wild haymaker punch down at him. He didn't expect it to do much, but when his fist struck the man's shoulder, he saw the tiniest flash of light, and the man crumpled down into a heap, screaming and holding his shoulder. His two comrades were further back in the store and saw everything but the last strike in the flash. The second man ran up when he heard his associate screaming in pain and pointed his gun at the store clerk. What happened? The clerk looked at Rob, and as the second robber looked at Rob and started to aim toward him, Rob bum rushed him and tackled him. There was another flash when the two bodies met, and the robber wheezed, with his breath being knocked out of him. He was already writhing in pain before Rob punched him in the stomach. When the strike hit, the robber's eyes went big, and he dropped his gun, doubled over. Rob was feeling pretty good about himself until he stood up and turned around. He saw the third criminal pointing her weapon right at him. He heard a loud pop, and suddenly he was the one doubled over in pain. There was another pop and the sound of a ricochet on the ground next to him. He held his hand up in the woman's direction, and the next pop knocked his hand back hard. He got up and ran behind the aisle of the store to try to sneak up on her. He heard another pop as he did. He looked around the other side of the aisle, and another pop. Another bullet whizzed by his head. She was exactly opposite the aisle he was on, and there was no way for him to rush her to stop her without getting hit again. But he remembered the flash when he tackled the second guy. He hip checked the aisle, and the entire thing slid and slammed into the woman with such force that it knocked her down, sending cans of food toppling over onto her. She was so confused that she didn't see him running up. She moved her arm to point the pistol at him, but he stomped on her hand. Rob heard a very disturbing crackling sound coming from the woman's arm, and he stared at her mangled arm in horror. She reached for the gun with her other hand, but he grabbed her arm hard, and they both heard a similar cracking sound. A second later, the woman was screaming bloody murder. Rob looked at the store clerk, and two police cars came flying into the parking lot of the convenience store. As they approached, Rob suddenly fell and disappeared from the store. On the other side of the portal that had been opened at his feet, Rob was caught in the claw of the enormous and beautiful brown dragon. How was that? Looked exciting, Annabella excitedly asked. You can't do that! Oh my God, did I kill those people? Are they okay? I never saw the second guy get up. Is he okay? And the girl, I saw her arm. Did I break her arm? She was screaming. Hey, calm down, big guy. You helped. Those three were gonna kill that guy. I'm pretty sure nobody died today. They can let their busted organs and shattered bones be a lifelong reminder not to engage in the types of crimes they were thinking of doing today. You're a hero, Annabella advised. But, Rob was shaking. I am totally and completely freaked out. How do you know that guy's not dead? What do you mean a hero? All I did was beat those people to a pulp. What were those flashes? Rob continued to panic. That was your shield. I told you that's how it would work. I attached it to you so you could do your superhero thing. The master waved this off like it was nothing. Okay, well, take it off. I don't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to earlier. And, oh my God, that girl shot me. Rob inspected his stomach and his hand for damage. You're fine. The shield worked exactly the way it was supposed to. Dear God, does it hurt that much every time? I can understand why you don't like going out there. Oh, my shield works way better than that. I wouldn't have felt anything if she had shot me with a cannon. Wait, You gave me that crappy shield? What was I supposed to think? That hurt. Just take it off. I get it. Lesson learned. I don't want to be a superhero anymore. Rob complained as he paced around. Hey, your shield worked exactly as as well as you intended it to work. It's not my fault you think it should hurt. And besides, you're just gonna give up that easy? Annabella tracked him with her eyes as he paced. What, just 'cause you got shot? This is what you wanted. Why should I take it off? You're right, there's crime everywhere. We should be doing something about it. You're one of us now. That can be your job. You can just learn to live with it like I had to. Rob thought for a moment and responded, Wait, you never answered. How do you know that guy's not dead? Did you see him move? Okay, was he okay after the cops came in? How do I know I'm not just as bad as those killers? Lance joined in the conversation. We don't. The reality you're going to have to deal with is that you may not always know the outcome of your interventions. Rob turned to face Lance and stopped and continued pacing. Interventions? He paced and thought for a moment. So you're really not going to take this shield thing away from me? Nope. And when you decide running your store is better than putting your life on the line, you can deal with the guilt trip. The master presented the argument with a glare. Rob sunk with a big sigh. I really just wish I knew if that guy was still alive. I really didn't go into today thinking I would kill another person. I don't know. I just don't know what. I just want to know that I'm not just as bad as the people I was trying to stop. I'll check on them. Be silent. You're tiring. Lance complained and opened up his portal as a screen and started swiping through. They'll live. Look, you see them there? Rob looked at the window, which showed a hospital room with 3 beds and 3 familiar people all talking to each other. Annabella came over, looked at the window, took Rob by the arm, and started to walk with him. 2 more paragraphs. Rob and Annabella took a walk in the forest. They saw Leo and Edwin play fighting in the forest. Leo is just so easygoing, he commented. I don't get how you guys can just be okay with everything. The last couple of days have been the most stressful time of my life. And look at them. They're just playing in the forest. Don't they know the world is falling apart? They know what the world is going through. Probably better than most humans. Annabella stared off into the distance before she continued. But there's something they know that we all had to learn the hard way. We all need downtime. All right. That is almost 3 hours of reading, and that is page 96. I hope you guys liked it. I really love reading to y'all, and I'm glad I got past the first scene. Like the last few times, I've only read to like page 60 something, and like I keep having to read the same scenes over. So it's kind of nice to get a bit further past those first couple of scenes. So I can't wait to read y'all again. I'm probably not gonna read as much every time. I really was pushing to get past like the original robbery and like the scene with Samael. I've read that like 15 freaking times. So now that I actually have like yeah, we're up to the robbery that Rob stopped. Now like I mean it's good, honestly, obviously, but like it definitely there's more, there's a lot more to see. So the next time, especially Help Doll, especially you, Sadie, I want you to come back in 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks from now, I want you to come back so that I can read more. I'm gonna start at page 96 and go from there. I'm probably not gonna read that many pages again. Who knows? Okay, I don't know. I can't guarantee I will or won't, but yeah, I will probably in 2 weeks I will read more to y'all, and tell a friend. I mean, tell somebody, bring people back. I very much enjoy reading to y'all, and I love this book and I love the series. Uh, yeah. Oh, yay! Thank you. I'm so happy, Coffee Lady. Thank you. It's good to meet you. I'm very happy to read this. Yeah, I will probably come on Twitch again earlier than 2 weeks from now, but I can't guarantee exactly when it's gonna happen. But to read, my friend Help Doll over here. My friend is going to be available. Well, every Thursday, but next Thursday I might not be available, so I can't guarantee that I'll be around 2 weeks or next week, but I'll try. But what I can pretty much guarantee is that 2 weeks from now I will be here reading this book, and I will continue from where I was. And Yeah, there's more of Leo and the rest of the dragons and everything like that. It's a really fun series. I am working on book two, by the way. There is another book in the series coming, and I am so excited. Yeah, I got to page 96. I started on the very first page is page 8. So yeah, I read 88 pages today. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of fun. I am working on book two of the series. I am mostly done with that book. The main storyline is written already, and I'm just making some adjustments. If you like the quality of this book, if you like the writing style, that is the writing style. The story is going to be completely different. It's got a completely different vibe, but it's still me. It's still this. It's still this universe. It's still this story with Annabella and some characters and stuff that I'm sure everybody's gonna like. And it is my writing style. So if you like this, you will like book two. It is a completely different vibe, but I have a lot more inspirations from like horror and stuff like that that I think is a lot of fun. But it is still the Master's Quest universe, and it will read and feel similar to this, even though the story is a bit different. I mean, it has to be different, right? So, yeah. Anyway, thank y'all so much. I really appreciate y'all being here. Y'all sticking here with me for 3 hours reading my book. Like, I'm overjoyed that y'all sat here with me, and hope you liked all my voices. I hope I didn't mix the voices up too much. And Yeah, come hang out next time. Uh, yeah, I love y'all. Thank you. And for those of y'all who have me on Discord, I'll see you there. Bye.